Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew Built Conicals. You can trust Brew Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew Built at morebeer.com.
Great beer is about drinkability. Doesn't matter the style.
You guys are like walking beer Wikipedia. That's the first time that you've ever accepted me as a person.
Or you have a fermentation in your gut.
I'm jet propelled at all times.
How many guys do you think that you have the privilege to slap?
Somebody who's never tasted a commercial example, and this is how you know everything about this beer? Please, you don't.
I think that's bullshit.
I think it's bullshit too.
Wow. Are you guys going to arm wrestle?
No.
We're going to teabag fight.
Yeah. You heard of Junkyard Wars?
Can I get another high five, Beavis?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is The Session Quarantine Edition. This is a very strange time that we're living in, but you know what we can't do without is entertaining you people at home. So we're putting together a show specifically for you. This is a best of The Session. And I'm joined live, actually, which is kind of cool, with my co-hosts Sean and Teresa, both of which should be here with me. We should all be in the studio, but apparently some people can't wash their hands enough, so now everyone's sequestered in their homes. Sean and Teresa, how are you doing?
Oh, JP, it's so nice to be with you. I was going to invite you to a remote happy hour sometime this week, so
I would love that.
I feel like you just beat me to the punch, so very happy to be here. So
is that it? Then I'm not going to get invited because we're working on it? Like we're working during our partying session?
Well, it depends on how this goes. Like if you're up to snuff.
Damn it.
Like if you're up to my standards for this remote recording, then it could still happen.
Okay. All right. I'll hold my breath.
I do miss Bevo too, so
I do miss I do miss Bevo too. I'm talking to her every now and then for on Ears Up, and that's been pretty that's been pretty cool. And then Sully, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. It's so Teresa and I have been trying to do a show together for a long time, and now we're virtually connected. We're finally together, Teresa. We're here. This is awesome.
I know. I just wish I could see your lovely mug right now. I wish I could give you a hug, except for the social distancing would prevent it from happening anyway. So I'll have to wait for it.
Yes, we're not going to do that. We're just going to have to do this right now.
Just do the
virtual elbow bump to you, Sully.
That's
there
right.
You go. I'm doing it right. I'm actually doing it. My cat's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" It's okay, Cody. You're fine.
You just do the hands folded and then the slight bow and just say namaste to each other. And I feel like that's how people in Berkeley and Auburn, for that matter, should be talking to each other.
It's true, but up here we mostly give a half smile and a side eye. That's our deal.
So anyway, everybody, just so you guys know, especially here in the Bay Area, but I know it's the movement is gaining force across the country and some countries in the world. We are all shut in. We're locked in here. This is, I think, week 2 of quarantine. over here in the Bay Area, and things are a little nutty. Just to keep you up to speed on what's happening at the BN. The reason we're not at the studio, I'm at my home studio. Actually, I'm in my tiki room because I pulled my studio apart to record in the tiki room because it's much more, it's a cooler ambiance, but that's beside the point. The studio's closed. I think the Hop Grenade is, doing bottle service. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but we're all just sort of keeping away from each other, which is kind of my ideal life, if I'm honest. I don't have to see anybody. I don't have to touch anybody. I can talk to people, but then I'm just home in my, in my kingdom. Do you guys feel that way? Or how are you taking, Sully, how are you taking to quarantine life?
Actually, I haven't really been, I am doing quarantine, but we are still so at the production brewery in San Leandro, we're cranking. We've got a skeleton crew. We've had to make some drastic changes in the interim, but the orders are still coming in, and we're selling beer. It's kind of wild. And we have this huge space, so there's a lot of room for us. So the social distancing thing is not a problem. But I have isopropyl alcohol, all over everywhere, and gloves, and everybody's, minding the rules for that. So I have not really been in lockdown too much. I've been moving around, but I've been kind of alone while I'm doing it. How's that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I saw you were dropping off beer the other day for strangers. You went to field work and grabbed some crowlers, and you were dropping them off at people's houses. You're the beer Santa.
It's my neighborhood. So I live up here in Berkeley, and so some of my neighbors they've been dropping food off. So I was like, I saw that field work was still at growler service, and so I wanted to support them. So I bought a bunch of growlers and then just drove them around and left these little Christmas presents on people's porches. Tonight, Ryan and I busted out a bunch of pizzas in this little pizza oven I have, and then just drove around and dropped them off. So it's I don't know. It's just you feel better about going out and doing something like that. I think people seem to be more friendlier in some ways. Although the people on the road right now, because I've been driving around a lot, it's lawless. It's there's nobody has to be anywhere, but everybody's driving 100 miles an hour.
Well, because cops won't pull you over because they don't want to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's really nice, man. I and I feel you with the. People seem to be nicer because you're sort of you're all going through this dumb thing. It's not dumb. It's very smart, and everybody should be staying home and washing their hands. Don't worry about it. But it feels kind of almost ridiculous. Like day 5 or 6, I was going, really? Is it really? Even though I'm inundating myself with news and information, and I know now I'm confident that I could get up on the podium at the White House daily lectures and give a lecture on this whole dumb stuff. That's how much I know. I'm confident in everything. But you do sort of have to smile at your neighbors a little bit more. Taryn and I try to go on walks daily with the kid, and it's weird because you see people, and I'm trying to make eye contact just to say hi so they know that I know that they're going through a hard time. And it's there's a lot of projection going on. Teresa, how are you handling it? You all right?
Well, I'm super glad you didn't talk to me last week because I was having kind of a mental crisis. But I feel like this week I'm doing much better. And
that's good.
And I don't really know why that is. I'm a person that I like change, but I have to have a certain amount of time to get used to it. And I feel like so much change hit me so quickly that I kind of froze up. I had a hard time moving forward, and we have 3 kids in elementary school. We're homeschool 100%. All of a sudden, we have a brewery that's employed 15 people up till now, and all of a sudden we employ I don't know how many people on account, maybe 3.
Oh wow.
So all that stuff hit kind of at the same time, and I was I kind of lost my ability to cope for a little while. And then I was okay, here's my new reality. I'm going to gain purchase over this and figure out what the next step is. And so, yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm doing a bit better, but it's been a shock. It's been a big thing for us, obviously.
Yeah, and we were saying something before we went live here in my recording that it really depends on where you were cash flow wise when this whole thing hit as a brewery. I know there are breweries that are closing down over this permanently, which is very sad, and I don't pretend to know the ins and outs of it, but it's hitting the industry really hard. And for people who are doing curbside delivery, I think that's really cool. You got to go out and support these people, but also stay away from them at the same time. It's very interesting to feel this pull to support local business, and that's our industry, right? Craft beer is always about supporting local guys, supporting the breweries in your town, supporting your favorite breweries, but local first, because that really matters. And now it matters even more, but also you can't go and really do a successful job at supporting them. You kind of like, let me pop the trunk for you, kid, and throw the stuff in my car. I don't know. It's very awkward.
Absolutely. I mean, so for us, we have decided to continue with to-go beer, and we're launching delivery starting tomorrow. We're going to start, taking delivery orders and start our first delivery on Thursday.
Oh man, I love that. Is Oakley in your delivery area?
For sure, no.
Oh,
but maybe I can just. So the other delivery option is GSL, which used to be GSO. I'm wondering, Sully probably knows a bit more about that than I do. I don't know if he uses it or even has to because he distributes so far, but it's like that's one way that you can send beer further, at least throughout California. But for us, it's like we have made the decision to keep moving forward. I'm thanking the good gods for our canning line. I'm super happy we have a canning line because we've been canning beer twice a week in huge amounts. We're canning all of the beer that's going out the door.
Wow.
If we didn't have a canning line, I don't even know what we'd be doing right now. I mean, it would be really, really tough. So,
God.
Yeah, for us, it's like we are so package heavy. In fact, I always kind of complain that when I go into an account and I don't see like our beer on draft, and and I'm like I'm going, God damn, why isn't our beer here? But right now I feel really lucky because we are in a lot of grocery stores, we are in Costco, and so on those accounts just keep pulling and pulling. So I'm fortunate in that sense. But we have definitely felt it. I mean, on a personal level, we had to lay off our entire pub staff. So we've shut the pub down except for a manager and a chef, and we're sort of trying to do this model of like food out the window kind of thing, and also some growler sales as well as 6-pack sales. And then we had to furlough a lot of production people as well. So it's like, man. But for me, I think I kind of went into we have to do this to make the you have to make hard decisions in order so that the company is there. So once everything else comes back online, when everything comes back online, that people come back and they can have their jobs will be there. But it's just unfortunate. I mean, it's like I felt like for 3 days, like you, Teresa, I was like Nico and I and our leadership team, like just in a war room, just trying to like. Yeah. What are the decisions? And all the information is coming in fast and furious, and you're trying to figure out what you can do, what you can't do. When the San Francisco mandate came in for shelter in place, and then it was extended to the rest of the Bay Area counties, we were just like reading it. You're trying to read into it. What can we do? What we can't do? Trying to get interpretation of it, and so it was fast and furious. And I think because I was so locked into it, I didn't really feel it. Emotionally. Oh, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing that sucked about this. I had to put my dog down last Friday. That was like that. So that's the thing. Like everything else was like, yeah, that's no problem at all. But I had to put my, my sweet Snickers down. Who's this beautiful like white like lab and Great Pyrenees, and that was. So
Sully.
When that happens, you're like, whatever. I can take care of anything.
That's right. Old Snickeroonies, dude. That's too bad.
Yeah. That's so anyway, bad, but so it's been a rough week, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm in survival mode, and just like it actually probably will happen in like another couple weeks. I'll be like, you'll just find me in a corner, like shriveled up, just bawling my head off, rocking back and forth.
That's right.
Honestly, that's probably the best policy, to wait till the time is right to fall apart, because while the crisis is happening, it's not helping anyone.
No.
Yeah, you got it.
Wait till stability is there and then fall apart.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to take that.
That's right. Well, so this show is really meant to sort of, bring you guys up to speed with the history of the Brewing Network, perhaps, or at least just help you forget about your current state of affairs. And, sort of let's revel in a little bit of beer fun. I have some clips planned for you. I have 3 clips. And as of this recording, Justin's going to be emailing me a fresh interview that I will splice in yet. I haven't heard it. I have no idea what it's about, but I'm sure it's going to be good. And we have clips involving Sully. And unfortunately not Teresa, because we go back as far as 2007 in some of this. This is green on the vine Brewing Network, not the polished the polished machine you see now. But what I want to do before we get to all those people is I want to thank our sponsor, More Beer. You go to morebeer.com. Unfortunately, I should have checked in with Chris or Olin over there. I don't know that they're shipping. I have no idea what's going on over there. I don't know. I know that people are still home brewing, and I know that delivery services are still happening. I'm sure the shops are closed, but regardless, go check them out and support them and follow them on social media. You'll get all the new updates or whatever. And like Sully said, when this thing sort of opens back up, support the people who are keeping the Brewing Network afloat, keeping the Brewing Network online, keeping us able to broadcast, to do these kinds of shows.
I'm looking up More Beer.
I just did too.
Since they supply the brewing industry, it says all of our showrooms are temporarily closed, but they're currently working from home.
Okay.
Support questions.
Okay, so that's perfect, even better. So if you, not even better, but you know what I mean. If you have brewing questions, you have any questions at all, the people at More Beer are pros. They're experts at this. So check them out, morebeer.com.
As of right now, all orders placed will still be fulfilled and shipped according to the promise date listed during checkout.
Wow.
Currently, we have no shipping delays to report from any of our shipping partners.
I love it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not, man? Keep brewing some beers. I know a lot of people are still brewing out there, so that's a good thing. Let's do a couple of announcements. Shockingly enough, we have announcements here brought to you by Beersmith. Get your 21-day free trial of the absolute 100% best brewing software on the market. Check them out. It's free. It's no cost to you. If you don't like it, there's something wrong with you, go to the doctor, because you have some sort of anomaly in your brain if Beersmith is not the software for you. So check it out, beersmith.com, free for 21 days. Spring Brews Fest, of course, has been postponed. It was supposed to be this weekend. And again, with the mandate from the governor and from our mayor in Concord, we're postponing Spring Brews Fest. I don't have a date for you currently because nobody really knows what's going on yet. I know Bev worked, I think, 12 hours in a row refunding people their tickets. I felt real bad for her.
Wow.
Yeah, but don't count us out. We're definitely going to come back. It's going to be great. Don't worry about it. But yeah, unfortunately, just to keep everybody safe and to sort of flatten this curve, like they say, we made the decision to postpone, not cancel, postpone Spring Brews Fest. So check that out if you want to still support the show. And honestly, right now we need your support more than ever, with a lot of businesses, shuttering and closing down and kind of reducing or whatever. We need support from the listeners as much as we can. So if you're still doing Amazon shopping, which I am as well, I ordered a watercolor set. Sully, you might appreciate this. I know you started doing some little painting every now and then. Well, because I think watercolor's kind of tight. It sort of speaks to me in the sense where, like, you don't need to be really good to do it because like watercolor.
The whole watercolor community is like is groaning right now. Oh, we don't have to. You're not good at. Oh, it's easy.
I would honestly love it if the watercolor community and the Brewing Network community intertwined somewhere in some bizarre Venn diagram where like the third would be like weird autistic traits that people have, and that would be the third circle. Because no, but like you know what I mean, where it's like. What am I trying to say? When you do watercolor, it can bleed out of the lines, and it's sort of okay because that's how it is.
It can be forgiving.
Thank you. Yes, it can be forgiving. So it took a week. In case you guys don't know, Amazon Prime is now like a week out of stuff, and they may not have. I read somewhere that they're only replenishing, essentials. Right. So they're not probably once all the watercolor sets are out, they're probably not going to be replacing those, but. Whenever they come in, all of that stuff goes in my garage and it sits because it's in quarantine. All my packages come in, they go through quarantine, man. I'm serious because it can live on cardboard for 24 hours. And then
you are serious, actually.
I am. Oh, for 100%. And then on plastic for 3 days. So everything sits in for 4 days in the garage before I get to it. So
you just got to figure out what that fog stuff that the Chinese or the Italians were going through the streets and like spraying the fog.
I would hit that from a bong in a second if I didn't think it would kill me.
I don't know. Thinking 409 or like Simple Green.
Yeah, that's right.
You're watching a lot of news, aren't you?
I'm not watching any. No, but I am reading it, and so you guys know I have general anxiety. I'm an insane person, and I'm reading a lot about it because I want to be informed. But then I like spiral. So I actually emailed my doctor last week. And I'm like, hey, Dr. E. He's a Greek man. He's from Athens, and it's literally the reason I chose him. But I can't pronounce his last name. It's like Alephanides or something like that. So anyway, I'm like, hey, Dr. E, I'm having a hard time, as we all are, I'm sure. Can I get a refill on my anxiety medication? Because he'll only give it to me like if I tell him, oh, it's travel season, so I need, and it'll be like 7 pills at a time because he goes, you really should like learn how to deal with your anxiety. This time the prescription was for 30.
He's like,
I'm like, God bless Dr. E, but those are in a bag, just waiting.
Well,
I think for 2 more days.
I was trying to find a psychologist in the time of COVID-19, and I'm not sure that's even going to work. Like, I emailed people, and their email legitimately bounced.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There's too many people, I would guess.
That was the me of last week. I think the me of this week can cope.
You got it. Yeah, same.
Handled it.
Yeah, you get a little better. But anyway, if you want to support us via your Amazon shopping, go to our Amazon link. When you go to the homepage, the fresh shows posted are on the left. Those are 2 Dr. Homebrews that just got released today, as a matter of fact, from the recorded in February in a simpler, kinder time. But on the right, you'll see a thing that says how to support the Brewing Network. Click on that. That'll have your Amazon link right there. Do your Amazon shopping via the Brewing Network. It helps us out. You get your stuff in, a week after quarantine, and everything will be great. Also, you might not think it helps, but listen to our other shows, please. Now, more than ever, Sour Hour, Heads and Tails, Dr. Homebrew, of course, Brew Strong, all that kind of stuff. Support the shows. Listen to us. That'd be, very cool for you. You can subscribe and join the BN Army. And, of course, make sure your address is current in PayPal so your card can get charged so we can take your money. But donate to us if you want to for a little as $2 a month. And we have, 500,000 shows. I don't know. You know what I would like to do, Sully, is I would like to go through the website and count up how many hours of content we actually have. Because we've been doing shows since 2005. And we have, those shows were 4 or 5 hours long back in 2005. I can't imagine. The session now is definitely trimmed up and very different as we've matured and aged and gotten, liver spots and stuff like that. So,
hey, what are you talking about?
I was referring to me, but that's fine. I couldn't even fathom to guess. I couldn't even venture to guess how many hours we have.
Well, you have time to actually do that right now because you're in lockdown.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know, but we need you guys now more than ever. So support us, subscribe on PayPal. Excuse me. Follow us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. If you have feedback, I'm still my plan is to still keep doing these shows, but I think it's going to be best ofs for a little bit. So Bev has sort of cleared our schedule for April. Tonight, or well, for this show, this episode of the session was supposed to be True Symmetry Brewing out of California here somewhere. Great people. I met them at the Evil 3 release in in some bum water town out where I live, out in the Delta. I forget where. You don't even know the town's name. Rio Vista, I think, is what it was. It's like a town of like 4 people. And, they all lived there. But there were a lot of people at the release. It was really, really cool. But these guys were there. They're working part-time. One of them's a BART cop. The other's a fireman. So they're working overtime already. And I called the owner, Jason. I'm like, hey, look, Jason, you have a really good name, very strong, solid name. But we're going to postpone. He's like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. So we had to push back this show and push back a couple other guests. So I don't know what's going to happen. For Justin's road trip, I don't think that's going to happen either. A lot of things are still up in the air because a lot of places are closed. National parks are closed. A lot of breweries are closed, like I'm saying. A lot of towns are sort of shut down. So things are going to be real weird here at the Brewing Network. So hopefully you like the best ofs. I had a lot of fun pulling these clips. It was really cool to kind of hear us.
A lot of squeaky voices.
Yeah. A lot of squeaky voices. And you know what? I'll be 100% honest with you. Like listening to the first clip we're going to play here after the break in 2007, I've kind of forgot how good Justin is at hosting these shows. I mean, we were doing 4-5 hour shows back then, and the kid had energy and just knew the direction of the show to go. And it was like, wow. I was like, wow, that's really, not that he doesn't now. I'm not saying that, but
you kind of are. But anyway, go ahead.
but being
the
so
most underhanded compliment ever.
well, see, and this is what gets me into trouble because I don't mean it underhanded. But it's just, it comes out that way because I'm not very good at what I do. But it's like you just sort of forget, right? Like being along in that timeline and being there. Like I was going through my own bullshit, right? And so I didn't really pull myself back enough to go, wow, this is we're in a thing, right? This is a movement, or we're providing something new, and now everybody does it. But it was, I don't know, it was really cool. It was just fun to listen back to 2007. I think I have 2009, and then a show from 2011, and
wow,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys like it. I think we're going to be doing a little bit more of those. So if you have feedback on the show, you can send that to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. Sully, you're supposed to be sponsoring the Twitter game, but we don't have a Twitter game because this show is not live. It is recorded, so I apologize. But I don't know. What do you want to do? We can talk about the Pete's Coffee and 21st Amendment collab beer.
Yeah, we did a collaboration with Pete's Coffee, which is a Bay Area company that's been around since, actually Berkeley company since 1966, and so the name of the beer is called 1966 Coffee IPA. We used a special roast that they bring out every January, around January, called Ethiopian Supernatural. It's got these really nice fruity blueberry notes to it, and sort of built an IPA around it. And it's a very elegant beer. I think it's the thing about it was that we didn't want to just do what everybody does with coffee when you brew with it, which is do a dark beer, because, of course, the dark malts pair nicely with roasted coffee notes. So we kind of fought against that idea and that notion, and came up with a nice recipe. And it's on shelves right now if you can find it while you're looking for your toilet paper.
Yeah, if you can find that too. You know, I would love to, having known you on professionally on the show, and then personally, I would love to, like, my impression of you professionally is just basically just you as a person. But I would love to like sit in one of these tasting sessions, or when you're trying to like planning this coffee IPA where you're tasting the coffee, you're talking about that. just to be on a fly on the wall and watching Sully work in his environment, I think would be very fascinating. I don't know why.
Well, well, first of all, you're banging around. I don't know what you're doing with your tiki drink right now, but
that is not me. I'm blaming Teresa on that one.
Okay. So you would see a man in turmoil. I am like, I hate everything I do. I mean, if you want to peel the curtain back and hear this story right now,
I do.
I beat myself up to death. And I think every brewer probably does that at some level, because the moment you think you're doing it right and you don't want to make a change here or there, you should just throw your keys on the desk and walk out the door. I think that you're always trying to figure out how to make it better. I mean, as much as I love this coffee IPA, and I love this coffee IPA a lot, I still know I would do some small little different things to it, just because it's the first time we've brewed it, and I'm just that way all the time. I just have to be that way. I'm never ever happy. It drives my staff nuts because it's like, this is really good. I was like, I mean, the way I come about it is like, I think it's a lot better than a guy like Roger Davis, probably from Faction, because I mean, these guys probably on like some sort of watch program all the time. But for me, it's like, anyway, there's the fly on the wall.
Well, you know what? I feel you, and I vibe with that for sure, because I think nothing I do is ever good enough. And I wonder if it's in the beer industry. And Teresa, maybe you can talk to me a little bit about this, where it's beer, right? And so you have a concept in your head about how you want it to taste. But I feel like when you give somebody beer, already the beer is going to be at least good, because it's free beer for that person. And so any feedback you get from basically anybody, it's hard to trust.
Oh, for sure. Like, you don't want to take beer advice from a friendly ever. Like, that's that's why you enter beer competitions. Like, anyone who's your buddy and is tasting your beer is always going to give you like incomplete feedback. So yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of entering the best beer competitions you can enter. Because if they don't know who you are, they can give you honest feedback, and then you can take that and do something with it. Otherwise, it's like you're just, I love you, but I don't trust you.
For sure, yeah. You know you're getting a pat on the back from someone, So I guess if you want to feel good.
Thank you, but I mean, I do have some friends that are beer judges that are like, I can really get an honest opinion from, kind of, but like even then, not 100%. So,
well, you know, what can you do? Well, let's do some feedback here. Feedback today is brought to you by the Beer Law Center. Go to beerlawcenter.com. John over there will protect your trademark. He will help you file any federal papers you need to file. He will just talk to you if you want someone to talk to, and we all need someone to talk to in these trying times. So I don't know that he'll talk to you. So please, if you have like problems, don't call John at the beerlawcenter.com, because he probably won't talk to you, but he would want to, and that's all that matters. Let's do feedback real quick. This one is, the subject is Teresa P.
What?
Yeah. It's from Keith. He says, I was wondering if Teresa can share her sparkling water recipe so I have something to stay hydrated with during my inevitable self-quarantine.
Ooh, my sparkling water?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they mean my sparkling hop water.
Oh, maybe. That's probably exactly what it is. Why don't, just in case that's what it is, why don't you share that with us?
I mean, that's probably the thing that's more interesting. So yeah, we have made some hop water at the brewery. Wow. Because, you know, why not? You got to be prepared for all the eventualities. But yeah, so for our hop water, like any hops in beer, I really believe in using a little bit of classic hops like Cascade, and maybe some Citra, maybe some Centennial or Simcoe, and just do like a little, like boil your water, do a little whirlpool hop at like 180, and do a very small dry hop. And make yourself some really killer seltzer.
And that's it.
That's it.
That seems easy.
And dry hop for like a day, You know, like you don't need to spend a lot of time on that stuff.
Because otherwise,
carbonate your keg to like 3 volumes.
Oh
so
God, what is that? What
very,
is that?
Very bubbly.
What is that in PSI? Like 16, 18, something like that?
Well, yeah. So you got to get that little chart, like your temperature. So I'm in my homebrew garage right now, actually.
Oh, nice.
So your fridge is probably going to be like 35, 36 degrees. If you're carb to 15 psi, that's 3 volumes.
Okay.
And then you take that keg and you shake it. You take your corny keg on the side and you shake it with your foot, and you just shake that back and forth for like a couple minutes.
Okay, you roll it on the ground.
That'll carb that up right away, and I wouldn't even worry about doing that with the water.
Damn.
So.
I love it. Okay. Well, perfect. Well, there you go, Keith. There's some hop water information for you. This next one is from James, and he says, I was watching old YouTube of the Brewing Network TV series, which, of course, was BYOB and was very, very good. And I saw early footage of Justin and JP from back in 2010. Then I see you guys now on YouTube, and I got to say, JP looks great.
Yay! JP?
The subject was called Chronological Degradation of Justin and JP. So James works at Golston Brewing. So there you go. I think that's pretty cool. Give a little shout out to the boys over there. Golston Brewing, whatever. Maybe that's his home brew. I don't know. Whatever. But for saying that I look great, James, I will look. I'll risk a hug. I swear to God. Come to me. I will hug you. I don't care. This next one is from Dan from Container Brewing. He says regarding Nitro Budweiser. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but apparently he says this is old news. He said we've been doing it at a microbrewery scale since November with a mobile canning company, no less. Have you guys heard about Nitro Bud?
No.
No, for sure no.
Bro, Google it. It's sort of too much to go into, but basically it's I don't think it's actual Budweiser. I think it's a different formula, but they carbonate with a little bit of nitrogen on top, and they tell you to shake the can 3 times, and they call it the ritual.
I'll give you a ritual.
I know. It's sort of like it smacks of such desperation, and it I don't know, man. It's so weird. It's like Stella Artois marketing. It's very bizarre. It's a different can, and it's Budweiser on nitrogen, and you're like, okay, great, I guess. I don't know, man.
Actually, the can looks really cool. I'm looking at it right now.
The label design is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, our last note here for feedback. Brett says, it's nice to see the session evolve and Justin hit the road. Too soon. One can only hope that this finally means that the Twitter game goes the way of Drunk of the Week. It took some time, but finally you all realized it was just enough of Drunk of the Week because it sucked. I hope this transition, what did I just do? Finally clues you in that the same time has come for the Twitter game. Which, look, I've been doing the Twitter game apparently since like 2011. And I had no idea that we've been doing it for that long. But, yeah, man, Twitter game is tough. Look, I will welcome, Brett. I will welcome any suggestion you have. So he says, I propose an alternative regular segment to end the show based on some of the few great times you guys have done blindfold taste tests. Think Beardy making a fool of himself at Russian River not to be able to pick out the hazy beer. And I missed that show.
I don't feel like that was making a fool of oneself.
Well,
that was a proof of concept.
Well, look, any time that we can make fun of Warren, I'm okay with it. So I'm going to support Brett at this one.
Okay.
Okay.
I can get on board.
He says, simply do some variation of this at every single brewery you visit and call it Fool Justin or Justin's an Idiot or whatever. Since you'll generally be alone, this will be a nice replacement. Most importantly, it should stimulate some beer discussion while also being funny. Please don't give me your usual favorite response. Yeah, it's a decent idea, but I'm too lazy to organize it. You can easily outsource this to the visiting brewery along with the pre-interview, and they can come up with a couple of beers, blah, 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 blah. He gives us a bunch of options about what you can do. Canadian Brett, he says. Love Canadian Brett. That's it. Look, it's a good idea. I'll pass it along to Jay in case he's doing his trip, but I don't know, man. Times are weird right now. That's all I gotta say.
They are weird.
Yeah. All right.
The game.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to drop our first clip from 2007. And I'm going to tease you a little bit. It's Chad's first all-grain brew day. And we talk about it on this show. It was a good time to listen to. So anyway, hang tight, everybody. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's The Session.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. It's The Session. I'm JP with Sully and Teresa in my own private little Idaho studio. And, we're socially distancing, but not emotionally distancing. That is one thing we should not do.
Hey.
We should not emotionally distance. We should socially distance, and I think it'll be a good time. I think we should definitely, Teresa, have happy hours together. I think that's a good time. I know my wife, Taryn, has been doing that with her friends over on Ears Up Podcast. You go to earsuppodcast.com, and we have... I have a little tiki room that I made, and I call it the Core and Tiki Room because it's funny. And we do a live show. We're doing one on Thursday.
I kind of want to do it just to see your tiki room.
You should.
Hopefully you can show the background during this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Thursday night, this coming Thursday night at 8 p.m., we're going to have a Core and Tiki Room party. Come in. Basically, it's a lot because there's no Disney news, right? All the Disney parks are closed, so we sort of just do basically a lunch meet and just talk about weird-ass news.
Lunch meet.
Yeah, and, fun times like that. But anyway, we're going to get into some flashbacks for you guys now. Who's having ice? Who's digging into their ice right now?
Not it.
That's Sean.
No, it's not. I'm just sitting here quietly with my cat.
No, you're not.
It's super me wishing I had my own tiki room so I could be a little more...
Teresa, I will text you a photo. I love it. I think it's a good time. And, anyway. The first clip you're going to hear is Producer Shat, if you guys remember. Now, for those of you who don't remember, who haven't been with us since 2007, our producer, Chad, who's now a professional brewer somewhere in Texas somewhere, but he was called Producer Shat. Anyway, he's going over his first all-grain brew day. Now, if that doesn't make you feel old, which it does to me for sure, of course, since he was brewing with me, I was helping him along with his brew day. He had some problems, like a stuck mash. He missed a hop addition. The sort of the usual stuff that happens when you're still learning how to homebrew, especially all grain. You know what I mean? But we talk it out on the air, and hopefully we give out solutions to anybody out there who might be tempted to try some all-grain brewing while at home for these next few weeks. Anyway, check it out. This one's from deep, deep into the archives. July 7th, 2007. Check it out. Shad's first all-grain brew day.
I was watching this great documentary earlier today about Chuck Berry, father of rock and roll, and I was like, man...
Yeah, he was around when I was alive, actually.
Just inspiring. Yeah, you knew him back in the day.
I knew. Yeah.
I've seen him play.
It was kick-ass. It's a great documentary, and Keith Richards was playing with him. It was all rock and roll. Got me in the mood. I was going to play all Chuck Berry tunes on the show today, but I got a bunch of great new beer songs sent to me by Kegerator in the forum, and so you just heard one there at the break, and I got a bunch more at the break, so you guys are going to enjoy every time we take a break today. I got some brand new and funny beer tunes to play, so
sweet.
I'll have Chuck Berry Day some other day.
So I'm taking a trip to the loo here, and I hear this whirring sound, and I investigate. There's a temperature-controlled conical in the middle of your living room.
How you like that? How you like them apples?
I I stood aghast.
Well,
where the hell did that come from?
It's not ours, I'll tell you that. And that's a great segue, Dr. Scott, into our discussion with Chad, the producer, because he is borrowing JP's conical fermenter. That's whose it is. It's Jip's. What's the deal? You just decided you're not going to brew again for the summer or something?
Yeah, it's too hot, man. Global warming has really...
How can you just not brew for the summer?
Because I figured I did the math. I have 18 gallons of beer.
Yeah.
And I don't drink
That's like a week.
whole lot.
Oh.
I don't drink all that much.
I see.
And it's fine for me. I got 2 kegs of Kolsch and a keg of bitter and something else. And I'm fine with it. I don't necessarily have to brew in 100-degree plus, heat.
Pussy.
Plus, it's the conical is going to be going 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I just, I'd rather save a little money on my electricity bill and kind of, drink the beer I have.
Well, it sounds like you're a big sissy to me, but hey, we make out like a bandit because we get to borrow your temp control conical.
You and I do make out like a bandit. Wait.
Wait, what?
Oh, okay.
So Shat is because, let me tell you this as we go into this discussion too, we right now have 25 gallons of beer fermenting because Shat's got the bug, man. He's been going crazy.
I'm loving it.
You're brewing like twice a week right now.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Now I got a conical. Oh, man, it's on.
Yeah, are you going to use all these bowls? I need to ferment in them.
Like, basically, we
you can't use the stove.
Have you got any more Tupperware? Because we ran out of room in our chest freezer. We've got 15 gallons.
Don't flush the toilet.
And a couple of kegs. Don't take a bath.
Brewing on the cheap.
So we've got 15 gallons of beer fermenting in the chest freezer, plus 10 gallons of beer aging. That's Chad's amber. Is that your amber? Your amber ale aging in there. So he wants to brew again, and he's like, but I got nowhere to put it. It's too hot outside to just ferment in the house. So he's like, I think JP said he wasn't going to brew anymore this summer. Maybe we can get that conical.
Oh yeah.
So we called.
It worked out.
We're like, hey, Jip, can we borrow your conical?
I told him. I said, anytime you guys want to borrow that thing, I'm probably not going to brew till like September.
Were you like pulling a John Please Say on us? Like saying after he was like, I'm never going to brew again.
I won't brew.
I'm only going to make wine.
Out of brewing.
And don't borrow my tambourine.
Sully, are you mad they would let you use your tambourine?
Can you tell that? I was waiting for the moment to drop that bomb on.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, you Sully really can't use your tambourine?
On the stage in front of 1 million people.
You just left you hanging.
I had to sit there and do my big head groove.
Yeah, it was Sully and the big head groove. Yeah, it's very strange.
It only lasts like 10 seconds, and after a minute or two, people want to throw things at me.
And I didn't like it. It was a 7-minute song.
It's hard all the blood flow it takes to keep that head up and erect.
Dude just wanted a tambourine.
Tambourine would have helped.
So we've got JP's, it's a 12-gallon conical.
12-gallon conical.
Look at you.
Oh, yeah.
So because of that, it allowed Shat the producer to do his first all-grain batch.
See, and that's really
How lucky am I, though? I mean, first all-grain and a conical.
Yeah, a temp-controlled conical.
Yeah. Do it up nice.
New brew kettle.
Plus Shat went out and got us a new brew kettle.
It is on.
Well, because we were using the converted keg kettle, which I loved in the beginning because I could do 10-gallon batches, and I grew to hate it because it leaves 10 gallons of beer behind. 10 gallons, that's the stupidest thing I've ever said. It leaves, and I've said a lot of dumb things, it leaves 2 gallons of beer behind because of the concave deal, plus the spout is another 1.5 inches above that. And the immersion chiller never fits right in there. And
they boil over real easy, too.
It boils over. It's just a big pain in the ass. So Shaq goes out. I'm telling you, this guy's got
He bought a 10-barrel brew system.
He goes out. He got a 14-gallon Polarware kettle, man. This thing is badass.
15 gallons.
That's the one with the aluminum-clad bottom?
Yes.
So, it spreads the heat better. Scorch.
You said pole.
It's great.
We haven't yet because it was late in the week, but we're going to bring it back and get the diverter plate welded into it so that you can whirlpool and then hopefully leave most of the trube behind.
And we can whirlpool. It works now.
Because we've got Jamil's immersion chiller / whirlpool maker thing. We've got that whole setup, and we've got that working. You need a pump for it. You can go to MrMulti.com, and you'll see a picture of exactly what we're talking about. It's a great way to chill wort because it combines using an immersion chiller, which is effective, and then whirlpooling the wort around it so that you don't just have like it cooling the
cool
inch or
zone,
two
the
around.
heat zone.
Exactly. And obviously then you get the benefit of a whirlpool on top of all that. So go to MrMulti.com and look at that, and you got your new kettle. So the problems with his first all grain, though, start.
When did this start?
Hose clamps.
It starts with no, that's well into it. It starts with the recipe. What beer did you brew, Chet?
Actually, I did Mike McDole's Brown Ale, his gold medal, 2004
American Brown
gold medal. Yeah, American Brown.
So if you've listened to the show and you know anything about Mike McDole, what you know is that he makes some fairly large beers, but mostly he makes hop bombs, beautiful hop bombs.
Yep.
And I don't mean like with a bitterness that you can't handle.
Very smooth.
Balanced, hoppy, beautiful beers.
Great brewer.
But it required 34.5 pounds of grain.
Yeah, that just does not fit in that cooler out there.
We've got 10-gallon Igloo cooler mash tons.
It just does not fit.
So I think, what was your water to grain ratio? You remember? It was less than 1 to 1.
It was like 3/4.
You can do less than 1 to 1.
We did.
Yeah. Oh, you can do it. It's just really hard.
Right to the
So you
tippy
basically
top.
fill up the cooler and then spit in there?
And it was over full. Yeah, so it was up to the tip top.
A rough stir.
How did the mash go, Chet?
It took us a little while.
Yeah. How long?
Say the runoff?
How long did you add to your brew process on Friday doing all grain?
Man, it was what? It was 4? Yeah, 4 hours? Is that what it was?
I think you added
about 4 hours.
4 hours to your brew.
We started at like 7. I left at 1.
Yeah,
and you were just starting to boil.
That's right.
Like you literally put it on the burner and lit it, and I'm look, I'm out of here.
All right, so what happened? So you have your third. We ended up getting the 34.5 pounds of grain in there.
Right.
I think our water to grain ratio was about 3/4 of a quart to 1.
Yeah.
So it was wet,
Definitely. It was moist.
You were supposed to mash at 152.
154.
154? What did you mash at?
I think it was 152.
Okay. Yeah, so you got a couple of degrees low.
Or 150. 150. I'm sorry, 150.
And here's the first thing that we can talk about in terms of getting your strike water to the right temperature so that you mash at the right temperature. Now, I've gotten pretty good. You showed me, Doc, at how to use ProMash to calculate my strike water temperature. And it works really well. If you go into ProMash and you go into the mash schedule, you can input there's actually a button that says calculate strike temperature, and you can input the temperature of your grain, and the temperature that you want to reach.
And it already knows how much water you're putting in it.
It already knows the water because you've put that into your, you need to figure that out too.
Yeah, you get the water needed.
You set your water to grain ratio, so it knows all that. And so I've gotten really good since you showed me how to do that at getting my strike temperature to meet what I want my mash temperature to be. Yes. Well, what we found is that with 34.5 pounds of grain, there's a little bit of an adjustment that has to be made. Your strike water was 175 degrees.
That's right.
And that's what ProMash told us to use. And then he was just a couple of degrees low. He ended up mashing at 152. So I guess the point is you may want to up it a degree or two if you're really using so much grain in an all grain recipe.
Well, there's that, and I think all the guy was stirring like he was trying to make a whirlpool. Like he was going. I've never seen anyone move that fast. He was going, and we were mashing in for what I would say 10 minutes.
Is that a good thing though?
Well, I mean, it's not the bad thing, but I think that's where maybe you got some more of that temperature loss. Where normally, at a higher ratio, you wouldn't have to be stirring it up so much because we added some grain, stirred it up real well, put more water in, put more grain.
Right.
Because you don't want dough balls, and that's what you were really trying to do. But I think you make a great point, JP. If the water ratio was higher.
Yeah, because with that thick of a mash, that's exactly what you're going to get if you just dump it in there is dough balls. So
balls.
Yeah, you don't want balls.
And
slow it down.
It's all about knowing your own system too.
Exactly.
So,
that's what I was. Yeah, give him a couple times and he'll nail it.
I got to add a couple points to that. I just know that. So.
And now because in general, like I said, if we use ProMash with a normal amount of grain, you can follow what it says on ProMash. We've gotten to know that about our system. But now we know if we're maxing out our mash tun, we might want to add a degree or two, and that's something you want to pay attention to in your system.
What about monitoring your temperature as you're mashing in?
Well, so
that's what we do at the.
When the actual mash is happening?
That's what who does?
But you can't really do that because the grain is pulling down the strike water temperature and you haven't put all the grain in, so...
Yeah. You get an idea what direction you're going, though.
You're right, and as we got closer to the top of it,
it's going going down.
We do check the temperature.
Oh, it's going down, Doc.
It's going down, baby.
And decide if we need to put more hot water or, in that case, cold water. I mean, one thing we talked about in the Honesty and All Grain show is that you can keep a pot of boiling water next to you.
And a pot of cold water.
Exactly, and a pot of cold water, so that whether you're high or low, you can add either one to get your temperature right. So you're right, Sully. We do sort of monitor, we kind of got 3/4 of it in, and then make sure you stir it really well before you take your temperature, because it is different in different areas, and I've messed that up before in the Honesty and All Grain show. You'll hear about that. So, okay, so you end up mashing at 152.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised at how well the heat is held in those coolers. I mean, it does do a great job. So
we lost, in fact, in general, every time we mash with those, we lose 1 degree over 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Those things are awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I spoke to a guy at the homebrew shop at B3 the other day, and he was kind of saying, a friend of mine has those igloos. He says he likes them. I don't know. And I said, listen, I love my igloo mash system.
Do you preheat it before
1
you
degree.
mash it?
I do. When we're heating up the water, so let's say we have to get our strike water to 175, so we've got that in our kettle. When it gets to about 170, I'll take water, about 3 inches of it, and put it into my mash tun.
Mm-hmm.
And great question, Sully, because what you want to do is not lose, is it thermal mass, Doc?
Yeah.
You don't want to lose thermal mass.
Yeah, you want to heat up the vessel you're
the
going
thermal
into.
mass is going to pull some heat out of it. If you can preheat it, which if you did that, that's where you might have lost some, because you put the hot water in there, and it took the whole thing down some.
Down some? I was bringing it up some.
I know, but how? By putting hot water in there.
Yeah.
And the mash tun is going to be colder until it equals out. And the heat's going to be coming from that first part of that water you put in.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to lose some heat right there, heating that thing up.
Okay.
Unless you pulled all that water back out and put grain and water in there.
Oh, I see. I see.
That's why, I think Shad did it before he put the water, or before he put the strike water in. He put a little bit of hot water and swirled it around and left the lid on to kind of, because you want to heat.
That's what I'm talking about.
Which is Justin's little
trick.
trick.
That's what he was talking about.
Right.
But apparently,
so we're all talking about the same thing.
Apparently. He was saying one thing and you didn't seem like you understood.
Because if he's saying what you just said, then he's repeating what I said.
That's what I'm saying.
What'd you say?
This is the meltdown.
I love the way that we're talking about this. It's Shat's brew, and we're just arguing
no, this is what he did.
The patient's in the room.
Shut up, Chet. This is what he did.
Guys, I can hear you.
Hey, brewing with friends, that's what it's all about. I mean, Justin and JP really helped me out with this first brew, so I appreciate
Obviously.
that. They know a lot about this brew, so I have no problem with them jumping in.
Okay, so we got it all in there, and now you're doing your mash, and an hour goes by, and you're ready to sparge.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a batch sparge.
Yep.
In this case, we should have done a fly sparge. Because of the limited amount of water that we put in, because of the lower water to grain ratio, he had to batch sparge 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas if we did a continuous sparge, we could have just kept going until we got all the stuff out. What happened during the sparge?
Well, hose clamps did not happen, and so the false bottom came loose.
Yeah, the hose on the false bottom.
We were blowing back in, and the grain was just stuffing the tube, so we had no kind of draw from there.
Our false bottom, it's a B3 false bottom in the igloo, and it has
which usually works fine.
Oh, it's worked. Actually, it's never failed me. I've never thought about putting hose
follow
clamps.
the directions.
So put it together, and as he's stirring, the hose that goes from the false bottom to the spout comes disconnected, and all of a sudden we're thinking we got, like JP's there too. We're thinking we got a stuck mash.
Oh yeah.
So
because we did it first. This was the second stuck mash.
True.
The first one was actually a stuck.
It was a real stuck mash.
Yeah, because I think just that bigger stirring.
Not enough water.
So got some in there. Yeah,
so who stuck their hand into the 150
we didn't.
degree grain?
JP blew on it like a cheap whore for about an hour.
And I sucked.
And he sucked as well.
Yeah.
Before realizing it was entirely stuck. We're never going to get any word. This is on the second stuck time through.
Yeah.
So we go, okay, Chad, how about this? Let's dump it out into a bucket. We had a bucket and a kettle, and let's figure out what's going on down there, because you haven't gotten your volume yet. Because we have transferred quite a bit to the kettle so far. But we haven't gotten his volume, and we also haven't reached our target pre-boil gravity. He was about 10 points low at this point. So we needed to get more of those sugars out of the thing. So we dump all the grain out, and that's when we realize the hose is disconnected.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And I think I was actually 20 points low.
Oh, you were at that point?
10:48. I was supposed to be at 10:66.
So what'd you do from there? We dumped it out.
We dumped it out, reset the grain bed, and everything was beautiful from there on out.
Reconnected it.
Didn't hose clamp it at that point, but today I did.
Okay.
Bet your ass I did.
And then, so when you're, now we've got hose clamps, so he does it again. Okay, so now you've finished your mash and your sparge. What was your pre-boil gravity?
1068.
Was it?
I believe, or maybe it was a little higher.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was 1068.
I'm pretty sure it was 1077.
Was it?
It was
pre-boil.
Pre-boil.
It was. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes,
It goes up after
Are you
that.
sure?
So
it was 10. Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah, I am sure. That's why I wanted him to add water. So so he has a pre-boil gravity of 1077. His OG at fermentation is supposed to be 1066.
1066.
And his pre-boil is 1077.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right.
But his volume is right. He's got the right volume in the kettle. We were shooting for 12 gallons pre-boil in the kettle, and that's what he got, but it was 1077. JP did not want him to add water. I did.
Uh-oh.
Chad chose to not add water.
I did not at that point.
At that point. So
good.
He does his. Do you want to give your argument about why he shouldn't have added water at that point?
No.
Because I'm going to if you don't.
That's fine. I'll let you do it.
Are you ashamed of your argument?
They'll give you your day in the sun.
Are you feeling wrong about your argument now?
No, I just feel that you have to take some and then you add water to it. It's just like doing a partial boil with extract. You're not going to get the same kind of utilization on stuff. You're not going to get the same flavors. It's going to be you're going to kind of lose something in that.
Okay, so that was JP's theory is essentially that everything is meant to sort of work together, and if you dilute it, it's not.
Just believe in the Old Testament.
My theory was that
1077.
My theory is that the recipe is designed for a certain gravity. Whatever you have to do to get it to that gravity is how the recipe is going to work best. So by adding water to his pre-boil to get it to the proper pre-boil gravity would not have diluted anything. It would have gotten him to the proper amount of sugars that the recipe was designed for, and everything would have mixed together just fine. He would have had a post-boil gravity of 1066. Doc, am I off on this?
Yeah.
Okay. So you think JP's theory is right that he would have been...
No, when you boil, the gravity points go up.
Correct.
Yeah, but he's already at 1077.
Right.
You have to dilute a lot. As you're boiling some down, you're putting some back. You have to put more back. You have to have like 14 gallons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of diluting. One way of doing it is just boil some, add some, boil some, add some.
Okay, but either way, you're working on getting to the proper gravity.
Yeah. And
is it me or is Doc just repeating what I say?
No. But it's different because
you're not going to get to 1066.
Because if you boil some and add some water, boil some off and add some water, you're not removing any of the sugars. You're just boiling off the water.
Yeah.
But what JP
is that what you're saying? But then you're getting the Maillard reaction and you get some browning and.
But what JP's saying is a concentrated boil is going to change things differently. But you're at 1077 already. It's a concentrated boil anyway.
Yeah, but why not add water to begin with? If you haven't added water, you haven't added hops yet.
No,
it's a pre-boil situation.
Mm-hmm.
Utilization is not going to be effective.
Sometimes the kettle can't hold more water.
Well, that could be a problem.
That's where you come in, where you boil some, add some, boil some, and add some.
Well, the bottom line is now that you know your
you're
efficiency,
kind of like stepping down rather than just going right down.
Now you know your efficiency on the system, then you can plan out your you got an 80% efficiency. I think is what we figured out. Mm-hmm. So next time you do your recipe, you bump up pro mash to 80%, and then you put your stuff in, and then you know how much.
Then you want to overshoot it.
Right. Yeah, but you were probably affected from the get-go because your water to grain ratio was way off. So you're probably your extract would certainly be a little bit higher if it hadn't been.
If it had the right ratio.
Yeah.
And who was the one who said to take like 4 or 5 pounds out, and you would have been fine?
Yeah.
His hand is in the air.
Mr. JP.
Someone in the chat room made a good observation. He said, what's the common factor between your beers and Chad's beers?
We both suck?
You.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I think that's a dick thing to say, for one.
That is.
I think I've taken a lot of heat for my brewing, but that's kind of fucked up.
That is.
I will say that as the assistant brewer on a certain other co-host beer, it won a second prize in its first ever competition, so blow me.
Ooh. Hey, assistant.
Face.
Assistant.
So I think, though, that essentially the diluting with water is however you do it, whether you boil it down and add water or add it in the beginning, like Sully and I are saying, it would have been fine to do.
It
you
probably
wouldn't have changed anything.
Yeah.
What did you end up doing at the end of the boil?
Well, so basically it was a 90-minute boil, so we just did a 60-minute boil
instead.
And basically we started with 12 gallons. I ended up with 9 gallons. So I just dumped in some filtered water at the end.
So you just pretty much
without even
this whole recipe up.
I did. But, I didn't even take a gravity. At that point, I just added water. Then I threw it in the conical, and then I took a thief, took a gravity, and it was
you just really wanted to use
64.
Nice.
So I was close.
You just wanted to use the thief, man.
Yeah.
There's a side port on the conical.
Ooh.
That's what that thing's for.
Oh.
It's called a sample cock,
jackass.
Hey, first time, buddy.
But you know what? I mean, of all this, all the stuff that could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you had basically two things. You had just too much grain, which isn't a good thing, which isn't necessarily always a bad thing.
Yeah.
And you had two stuck mash. That's not that bad for your first all grain. Basically on his own. I mean,
and
you and I
overshot.
Jay and I were kind of just going, oh, well, you should do this, and we were kind of more talking amongst ourselves. And Chad just took what he wanted to and did it,
and went for it,
and it worked out great. It smells awesome. It smells wonderful.
The only person pissed off right now is Mike because he came up with the recipe and you bastardized it. And you've said that you've made this thing, and he's like, good grief.
Mike loves me.
This goes to show that the recipe doesn't really matter. It's whoever's hands are in.
Yep.
Right.
It's probably going to come out a great beer anyway, but it's going to be a lot different.
Sure.
So, but
and at the end of the boil too, Chad goes. He's looking over his recipe, and he goes to me. He goes, "Hey, what are mash hops?"
That's true.
And I go, oh shit, man! You were supposed to put some hops into that ridiculous mash that we did.
So I did add those at the end. 1 minute left in the boil.
My suggestion to him was, he's like, well, what does that mean? Should I throw them in? Actually, it was at the beginning of the boil. He's like, should I throw them in for bittering?
Put 3 ounces in.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't think you should put them in for bittering because they wouldn't have been in the boil. They would have been extracted from the mash. So I told him to put them in as flame out hops.
Probably, pretty good.
And that's what he did.
Oh, and Doc, Werflock.
You forgot that. You forgot that? I've forgotten that too. I set them out so I can see them, and actually I have my hops in different little containers marked with 40 minutes, 10 minutes, and I throw the Whirlflock in with the 10-minute hops there, or whatever's going to be at the last. That way I just dump it all in, and because I've come a couple times and, oh, damn, I didn't put that in there.
Yeah. It'll be fine.
So I think it'll be great. It smells wonderful.
Now it's fermenting what?
68 degrees.
No, come on, it's at 69.
Oh, did it go up?
Well, that fan's running. Should be at 68.
Yeah, I think
set at 68.
What do you got? You probably have a 1 degree differential on that.
It's set at 65 with the 2 degree differential.
No, but I bumped it up.
Why?
Because you can't.
Oh, good enough.
Why not?
It's a good reason.
Yeah. So I think it's going to come out. I think it's going to be a great beer. But those were some of the issues. 888-401-BEER. If you have any questions, you're thinking of going all grain.
All right, if you want to hear the rest of that show, you guys hit up the archives and search for it. It's pretty easy. The show is called Meltdown and Sour Beer. And what I'll also be doing for the rest of the clips here that we're going to be playing, I'll drop the links for all the shows in the show post for this show, if that makes sense. So if you're listening to it on any sort of podcast catcher app or whatever, go to the website, find the show, click on it, and it'll have all the links for the shows. It was a great show. I had a lot of fun talking to Chad about that, and that was back when we used to do a lot of homebrew-centric information. So check it out. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll have more Best of the Session when we come back. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into this session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
Yeah, that's right. It's the session, baby. Quarantine edition. Here we go. We're all about being locked up at home. We're all about staying away from each other. We're all about washing our hands. And I'll be honest with you, I used to wash my hands, right? I mean, everybody does, I would guess. But I've never, learned how to wash my hands if it wasn't for this stupid friggin' coronavirus garbage that we're dealing with right now. I mean, do you guys feel the same? Were you Sully, were you a giant hand washer before?
No, I never washed my hands ever. Of course I did. But one thing I've noticed is how often you touch your face. I mean, it's ridiculous. You when you start you're don't touch my face, and you just it's insane. It's ugh.
You know what? I read somewhere that we touch our faces about 10 times an hour.
I believe.
I don't think that's enough. I mean. So
Teresa's in favor of face touching. She loves face touching.
I love to, yeah. Well, it's like seasonal.
Sounded really weird.
Time. I am a crazy seasonal allergy sufferer. So
oh man,
I am sneezing my head off literally all the time, and now I'm doubling up on the allergy meds because people are not okay with you sneezing all over the place right now.
No.
Seriously. And they're like, "Why is your nose all red?" And I'm like, it's my time of year.
It's my time of year. I'm trying out for Rudolph in the play, asshole. Leave me alone.
Sneeze. Come on. Yeah, I feel really badly.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to keep it in, but oh my gosh, all I want to do is scratch my nose. It's. Yeah,
and so I realized, I read actually that oh, there's a whiskey coming up. Wow. I read the other day that it's touching your face, your cheek or whatever, then your nose. It's fine, but it's the membranes of your eyes and your nose that you can contract. Whatever bacteria gets in, whatever. But especially for COVID-19, for the coronavirus, that's very hard. It's hard to catch it eating. But what I missed but what I miss the most, because it's a respiratory virus, right? So you breathe it in, and then it gets lodged in your lungs. But if you eat it, obviously, unless you're an alien and your food passes through your lungs, it just goes right to your gut, and then your gut kind of kills it, and that's what it is. But I realized how much I miss picking my nose. To the point where I'll take my thumb and I'll turn my collar of my shirt or the inside of my shirt inside out, and I just gotta I gotta grab a hanger on, because it's so dry out here. Even though it's raining, it's dry in our house, and I get these just cakes. They're cliffs inside of my nose, and you can feel the weight. It's like having a weight vest on, doing laps or whatever. And I gotta clear it out, and I realized that I used to just would pick my nose without any sort of care in the world, but now I don't want to get sick, so I have to use my shirt to do it, which is never ideal, right? You want to feel the breakaway.
Well, it's that social responsibility of self-care.
This is how, thank you, Teresa, and this is how I'm contributing. This is basically, I'm a first responder. I'm at that level.
Obviously, neither of us know what to say about this.
I was going to say, I don't know if I could touch your hand ever again.
Well, look, man, especially when we talk about...
Can we call you a first nose spawner? Or
first nose spawner? Yeah. Yes, I'm a first nose spawner.
Nose spawner?
Well, you know those, look, I got a big nose, I got a Greek nose, right? So it's long, and I got a wide nostril canal, and you're breathing all this air in, and it catches a lot of shit, and it weighs heavily. I don't know, man. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but I will say, one of my youngest memories is when my mom dropped me out for first grade for the first day, okay? I picked my nose so bad that I got a nosebleed, and I had to go home. I'm just going to say that right now. I think
that was an excuse to go home, probably.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I was so just agitated and had so much anxiety about leaving my mother. I'm just digging in my nose until I'm bleeding.
God.
It's pretty good. I remember my teacher going, "Well, don't pick your nose." I'm like, "Oh, you mean I have a choice?" I thought I just had to do this.
So I have to tell you that I had one of the best wish fulfillment dreams I've ever had last night.
Oh, what was I wearing?
So what my dream was that I was invited to Russian River to do a collab.
Oh, wow.
And I was there brewing a beer, and their system was way crazier than their actual system. But beside the point.
Yeah.
But I was there, and I was like, this is so rad. This is completely cool. I wonder what beer we're doing. And I was trying to figure out what the beer was. I was pretty sure it was like a Munich Dunkel or something.
Yeah.
And I was looking on my phone. I was trying to track down the recipe. I was like, I don't know. It was so cool. I'm just telling you, Russian River in my dreams was super fun.
That should be your next.
Amazing.
What beer did you end up brewing in your dreams?
I came out of the dream. It was a brown beer.
Okay.
Undetermined origins, but the only thing that would make sense for me was a Munich Dunkel. So I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
It sounds like that should be the name. Is a Russian River in my dreams, Dunkel.
Yeah. I honestly I felt so good when I woke up this morning. I was like, if I could just make this happen every night, I can get through this crisis. Because that was awesome. Like if I'm not gonna go down the stress crisis related dream and just have the fulfillment dream, so
that's pretty good, man.
You're winning.
My 21st Amendment collab in my dreams.
Oh man, that's tonight. I guarantee you that'll happen tonight.
I'll see if I can make that magic happen tonight.
I think it's amazing that you dream about brewing. I don't know if I ever dream about brewing.
I know.
I'm actually envious of you.
I'm super. That's why I wanted to share.
That's good.
I have tried so hard to direct my dreams to where they're going, but they just go where they're going to go.
Yeah.
But that was the awesomest dream ever, and I obviously you can tell I latched onto that thing because that was beauty.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Well, you know what else is really cool? Thick. And if you don't know what I mean, let me tell you. It's a new product from Duke Cannon Supply Company.
I saw this.
Yeah, I have some. It's actually really, really good. Thick earns its name by being 3 times thicker than common body washes. Body washes. Wow, the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and the Whiskey Back, which actually, let me just holler. Whiskey is from our boys at Deer Hammer. It's a rye whiskey, so check them out. Thick earns its name by being 3 times thicker than common body washes. It's the high-viscosity alternative to watching your money run down the shower drain. It comes in a big-ass container that you crack open like a beer. You, flip that top, and it is very, tactile, where you can really feel the force of opening something like that. And it comes in 4 distinctly masculine scents that won't leave you smelling like a teenage boy. I mean, unless you want to, I don't know. So check it out. You can get all 4 of their high-viscosity body washes online at DukeCannon.com for $30 or $9 a piece if you don't need, 4 body washes, but maybe you do. Or you want to buy 4 and you hand them out for presents. Who knows? You leave them with a pizza and a body wash. That'd be good times.
There you go.
You have scents like Accomplishment, Naval Supremacy, Old Glory, or Productivity, which is what I use. And smelling myself now, I smell great. Actually, I haven't showered in a couple of days. I should probably do that now. So you visit DukeCannon.com and use promo code BREWING, and you'll save 15% off your entire order, and you'll get free shipping with orders over $35. And Duke Cannon has more than just the body wash. That's brand new, but they have bars of soap. They have travel bags. They have all sorts of really good grooming stuff, and it's made in the USA. They support veterans, all the really good stuff that we should all be doing. DukeCannon.com, promo code BREWING, 15% off. All right. The next clip we're going to play here, fellas, is a little more beer information heavy, as Brian Hunt from Moonlight Brewing somehow comes back to the session. This is his 2nd episode that he's ever been on, and he was, for some reason, he decided to show up again. And I don't know why. I don't know what prompted him, but Brian Hunt is always a really good time. He's a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of opinion. So
that's for sure.
Yeah, so this is a really good one. He's talking about brewing with local ingredients. So we grill him on that pretty good. And, of course, he brought a bunch of beer for us to taste, and that's always a good time. Brian is always a good time. So check it out. This one is from way back January 24th, 2010. So check it out. Here's Brian Hunt from Moonlight Brewing.
Okay, welcome back to the program. Boy, are you podcast listeners lucky you didn't have to sit through a 15-minute break with me trying to fix the internet connection. The show just goes on like there is no space or time for you. So you're lucky people
just
out there.
happens.
Yeah, sorry for the delay, Brian. This drives me nuts. But hopefully you can stay a little bit longer and just do the show with us as we would anyway.
I heard you were already nuts.
It's true. A few more beers, though. I'll be fine. I won't give a shit.
Well, it might help me, too.
You know. So Brian is pouring us some nice beers, and that's kind of where I wanted to start with you anyway, because you've added some things to your lineup, and certainly to your creative lineup since we last spoke to you. Tell us about what's new at Moonlight.
New? Oh, what the hell. I'm always do something different. I think some call it ADHD. I'm not sure. But, if I make the same thing all the time, I go basically nuts. So I'm always trying to figure out something. I'm playing a lot with unhopped beers. It's kind of like if you think you have everything settled, you think you understand everything, all right, we'll take out something you think is key and replace it with something else. It's like that tells you how much you're standing on your own 2 feet.
Is that your nice spin on that there was a hop shortage and you needed to figure something out?
I can't say online even what I feel about some of the hop companies that are involved with that, but that did have some part of it, and some part of it had already been long seeded, a couple hundred years ago.
I do like this idea. You say, take out one of your integral ingredients and see if you can figure this out. It does say something about you as a brewer, or any of us.
Absolutely. It is what you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really easy to copy what else's knowledge out there, but then it's a whole lot harder to understand that and use that to be able to handle changes.
Right.
You take out hops. Well, okay, you sure as hell better understand hops if you're going to take them out and still make something that's, A, called beer, possibly B, drinkable.
Yeah. Excellent point. The absence of hops even gives you a better understanding of what they do, how they work, what you are now missing because of it.
Yeah.
So, and you have a few different beers, or at least a couple different beers without hops now, is that right?
I guess I've made 3 of them.
Okay.
Pretty much there's not much left of nearly all of them. The last chance you'll have to have some of them is, I think it's a Monday of Beer Week. I'll be in Berkeley at Bobby G's Pizza, and I'll bring the last of some of the ones.
Okay. You can go to sfbeerweek.org. There'll be a full list of them, so if you look up that one on Monday, then you can go down and
I haven't seen
Brian.
it yet, but there's a lot of, it involves a computer and keys, and I have fingers that don't always, behave.
I see.
Even in large crowds.
Likes Beer Fest.
Yeah, what are you, a Japanese businessman now or something?
You know that too, don't you?
Yeah.
Damn.
So what are the names of these 3 that you've done, just in case anybody does see them out there in the ether?
Well, in sequence is Working for Tips is one of the ones that those of us here in the studio have been tasting. Working for Tips has the tips of redwood branches.
Oh.
It's kind of funny that someone said to me, how do you get up there way up high and get those tips? They think I'm at the top of the tree. No, the tips are the branches, the ends of the branches. Any conifer, any basically pine or evergreen, the tips of the branches in springtime will have different growth on them. And that's great for vitamin C if you ever stranded, you're skiing in the backcountry and you got messed up. You can chew on the tips of the pine for whatever conifer trees.
Really?
And you won't get scurvy. I mean, you may die of malnutrition, but you won't get scurvy.
Broken leg.
Important.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you don't want scurvy with a broken leg, right? It's just not much fun. So the tips have been used for actually millennia in beer. And I just happen to have redwood trees around the brewery because that's kind of the place I live. So that's what
Which is where it's basically, you're in Sonoma County, right?
Yeah, I'm far western Sonoma County.
Okay.
Or far western Santa Rosa, actually.
Okay.
Still in Sonoma County.
So you do have these literally right in your backyard.
Well, yeah, there's only like 2 of them to hang over the brewery.
Got it.
And you either trim them when you put them in the mulch pile, you trim them when you put them in your beer, and if I can save buying hops, then sometimes it's tough to decide these things.
So how really do you decide what to try, though? Was that just something like you just thought, hey, why don't I try these? Or is there some method to your madness when you're trying to replace hops?
There's a lot of method. I drink a lot first.
Good.
Are you implying something?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I believe that, but you know what? I look at history first. And we'll talk about history of brewing at some point in the future here on this same show here today, tonight or this morning or whenever you're listening.
Yeah.
Because you're obviously not listening online because everyone else is shopping on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's not a plug for Amazon, don't get me wrong.
It's an internet shortage.
Yes, there's a shortage of internet, yeah. It's, I think, global internet shrinkage. So anyway, I look at what's historical, what makes sense to put in your beer. I mean, why should you put anything in your beer? Well, ideally, you put something in your beer that makes sense. You can put your thumb in. It's just going to make warm beer. You get weird herbs and spices out of your kitchen. I mean, if you like pumpkin pie, you can make some really cool stuff out of beer. It's not necessarily beer. Then again, I don't really, frankly, Justin, know what the hell beer is.
Yeah, that's a good... I knew you were going somewhere with that, because that's a good... well, you're right. Although, at some point, you have to... I mean, it's not a grape-based beverage, right? So that's not...
Yes,
I guess
right.
you know it's not beer.
That's true.
So does that mean, then, that it has to be... God, I was afraid we were going to do this. I
didn't
don't want to be too esoteric, but...
Yeah.
I mean, does it then have to be a grain-based beverage?
Hell if I know.
See,
I only make the stuff.
I think maybe it does. I think it does. I think it has to be a grain-based beverage.
Whatever it is, Justin, I really want to harass you about what is it about this? I don't know, those of you that are not watching online, I mean, they don't even have any beer for us to drink while we're here, like, on the microphone, and I just don't think that's right.
Well, you haven't learned our shtick yet, because this is only... You need to come to the show more often. That we invite you so that you can give us beer. That's really the only reason you're here.
Yeah, but you're all drinking beer, and my glasses are empty, so, I mean, what does that say?
About. His glass is always empty.
Yeah.
And what does he have to do to get a damn beer around here? Whose leg does he have to hump?
I thought we have now strategically placed the kegs right next to you so that you won't have this problem.
Well, the microphone won't reach that far, so...
Tasty, get that man a beer.
All right, here.
You just turn that chair around.
Or something that we think is a beer. I don't know what this...
You had a beer when you gave it to me.
A Reeb.
Yeah.
Going to rearrange everything now.
Yes, I gave you something strange.
Can we just put a tap here in the middle of the table here?
Now that I've moved some of the equipment, I think that it's...
And I'd like to ask, what kind of brewing network is this that doesn't have a tap in the middle of the desk, the table area?
Brand new studio, no built-in taps.
It's true.
Yeah,
and next week
really
is our official new studio show, too. We've got a week to put in a tap.
A week to put in the taps.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about single tap either.
It's got to be multi-tap
We've got a tower.
Yeah.
Okay. So, at some point, though, you have an understanding of beer and what the traditional ingredients are, and then you start to deconstruct it and replace them with something else. So you I guess at least you're saying, or at least I would be saying, I'm going to remove hops. What do hops add to my beer? Well, the first thing, I guess, is bitterness to balance the malt sweetness. So you have to look for something that is going to balance that sweetness.
Chronologically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing is early in the boil, you generally add hops to make it more bitter. Otherwise, the wort's going to be, the resulting beer is still going to have a sweetness that's kind of like a little insipid and not what I prefer to drink.
Right.
I do like bitter. There's something about it. And I think maybe what I like about it is it's not what kids like.
I'm not a kid anymore.
Oh, give me candy. No, I'm really not that big on sweet candy and stuff. I like bitter. I just freaking like bitter.
Same
it's
here,
like a whole different ball of wax.
Been married?
Anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. In fact, my palate has really changed over the last 15 years to I'm almost exclusively a bitter taste enjoyer.
How about bitter and sweet together?
Sometimes. But the sweet, for me, almost always has to be in moderation.
Yeah.
Well, let's take, if I may, for example, the first beer that I tried of yours today was the Artemis. Although yes. I think it's is Gruit a beer? Is beer a Gruit?
Gruit's a style of beer. We're totally out of sequence, but I don't really give a damn because it's not my show and it doesn't matter to me.
But at least it gives me a place to ask you about this, about what you're doing here as you deconstruct.
Okay, this is not a Gruit.
Okay.
A Gruit actually has 3 basic herbs that have to be used, at least in my eyes. There are other people who probably disagree with me. That's an understatement.
Who would that be?
I don't know. The 3 basic herbs, in my mind, that belong in a Gruit. One is Myrica gale, sweet gale it's also called. It's an herb. It's part of a tree. There's actually a Myrica californicus, which I haven't played with too much. I've chewed on the leaves and probably find a place for it. It's just not as delightfully aromatic as the Northern European version. It's wild rosemary, which is not related to culinary rosemary. It's got some other names, and it's unfortunately not available here. There's actually also a relative here that grows on the west coast of the United States. But and thirdly, yarrow, which is frankly everywhere. I must warn you, if you read Healing and Sacred Beers, Sacred and Healing Beers, there are some listings of yarrow, but a lot of people I've talked to that made a yarrow beer find it can put them on the dark side, or people have talked about people get in fights after having this beer. It's kind of a different kind of understanding of what things can do to you. We all take hops for granted, but if beer didn't have hops, and then we tasted a hops beer, we might actually feel slightly differently.
Yeah.
But you and I, and I'm thinking the rest of us in this room, probably don't relate to hops actually having an effect on us because it's just kind of something we're used to.
Right. We've built up our tolerance.
I think on strong IPAs, double IPAs, I do get an extra little bump from the hops.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Vic from the Bistro, puts on these wonderful hop festivals and double IPA festivals at his place. I talked to him about this, and he has the same philosophy. And in fact, I think I have him on tape as saying it was one of his double IPA festivals, and he was very serious and very happy to claim that the lupulin factor in those beers that day, he felt just made everybody happy. He said, this festival, I can notice the difference in people than, say, my barrel-aged festival, where we're not necessarily focusing lupulin in these different hops. So he really believes that it does have an effect on him.
Absolutely.
And as I'm drinking this beer, I'm getting really horny, Brian. I'm thinking that it's not that. But I was thinking that herbs and different things.
I know, looking at a bunch of us guys does that to you. It's not a problem.
Weird. But using herbs historically they were healing. They were used in medicines. In some ways, they're the basis for even different modern medicine. So,
well, they're frankly just used in life back then. I mean, you didn't go to the grocery store and buy the huge diversity you have now. You had herbs that had a part in everything that you did in your life and everything you ate and drank and whatnot.
You went to Ook's Tint and traded him some, skins
for some of his
some yarrow.
Thank you,
some moss.
Yeah,
rosemary.
Right.
Okay, it's kind of interesting. Yarrow is particularly famous for having like the dark side or the fighting aspect or some things that I don't entirely understand.
Interesting.
Which scares the living daylights out of me to put in a beer that I put out there commercially because I don't want people to be broad-sided or, let's say, even combatant.
Yeah.
I'd rather have people know what it is they're getting into, which is why I've avoided that. I have about 20 pounds of dried yarrow in the brewery that I'm kind of waiting for the right use for. But
2012.
Yeah.
You should make a 2012 beer.
Just wait till
where have you been? I already have.
Just wait till your neighbor pisses you off and you need it.
Sounds like Roger from Triple Rock. All he drinks is yarrow beers.
I had a yarrow beer at a festival, and it tasted like the guy put dried cousin in there. And I pinned him down, and he still said, nope, just yarrow in there. But it was delightful. It really was.
And did you feel high? Or you're saying just the flavor?
It's just the flavor, mostly.
I see.
And
it was on acid.
I didn't get combative, but...
Yeah.
You're always combative.
So you don't have yarrow in this
more combative.
Beer,
no. I've been too afraid to use it until I understand it enough.
Okay.
That's just not.
That's interesting. Though.
Responsible of me to do that.
Did you have any of the Gruit herbs that you've just mentioned?
No, actually not. I've not used them. I have 2 out of the 3 in the brewery. I'm just waiting for the right opportunities, and I haven't done that. So I've played with enough other things. But if you take something that you know is absolutely something you have to make a beer, you take it out, boy, do you understand what it does and what it doesn't do. And that's a really way to understand things, like I said.
Yeah. So... I'm not exactly sure how to ask you this question, but are you satisfied with the result? And I guess what I mean is, are you ready to give up on hops, or is this just an experiment?
Some of us in small breweries have contracts that we rather not talk about, that we have to.
We talked about it a little last week too when Vinny was here.
Pretty much hell freezes over.
Yeah.
At prices almost like they ought to be illegal and suitable for a lawsuit. But we won't go into that, will we now? Because that would just be an emotional issue.
Well, we don't
no, but what are emotions, though?
It'll be a change for JP not to be having the emotional.
Don't get me wrong. I do love hops. I adore hops. There's, let's say, I do get a serious dose of hops on a daily basis. But that doesn't mean that's all there is to life.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to see what else you can do. Because imagine this. This is, some of us don't have a whole lot of sense of history. Some of us have went to at least public school. One reference I can use is the time of Columbus, 1492. Half the beer in Europe had no hops.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. That wasn't that long ago. I mean, that was that guy in the boat.
I think Tasty was around then.
I think I might have been there.
Yeah. Well, I'd be curious. I want to hear stories later.
Yeah.
And the first hops beer showed up in England in the year 1400 something or other. So, and it took a while to get that established. There was certainly a lot of resistance to that because that's another freaking, wrong thing to put in your beer. And then that brings the question of what is wrong to put in your beer?
Yeah.
Is it any wrong? Hops. Ugh.
Right.
Come on.
There was
what are you doing
time.
putting hops in your beer? Is that any more wrong than some of the things I put in my beer?
Yeah. Do you know what they used hops for before then? Were they just a weed somewhere that was thrown away?
They weren't so much used. They weren't grown on the English Isles. They were grown on the continent. They actually, from what I can understand, seem to have evolved around the Turkey area and been found to be not so bad in beer and slowly eked into the rest of Europe and the continent, the British Isles, like I said, 1400 something or other.
Okay.
So, you know what? All this stuff is like, it's not something new. Like, oh, let's put all these weird, crazy things in our beer. No, it's not that this is actually really retro thing.
Okay. That's a good point. But we don't expect it anymore. So it is different to people, I guess, at the very least.
And actually, if you think about hops, it's kind of funny how hops came to be. There was a time in Europe when the Catholic Church had a monopoly and they sold the Gruit herbs, those three major herbs, as well as a few proprietary ones. And if you had a brewery, you wanted to buy at least those three critical ones.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really had a beer with all three, but I suspect, from what I know of flavor, they belong somehow together, and they each contribute something that makes, when the three are together, something just amazing and beyond their individuals. Yeah. So from those three major Gruit herbs, then you added whatever you wanted, and it was more local or more to your taste. Shoot, you have colas, and everyone has a different bunch of little weird things they put in your cola. Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, RC Cola, Shasta Cola, if those of you that are that old around here.
Tab.
We won't go there, but
RC was bad.
No, that's why you're so skinny.
Yeah.
So anyway, or meth. So it's hard to say what different herbs you use to make it, but you start from these basic three herbs. And part of that is you want to, oddly enough, feel good from drinking beer. Even better than without. And also part of it is you want to have some sort of level of preservation, which hops do today, and that's one of the major contributions of hops.
Yeah.
Is that they help preserve a beer.
Stabilize it.
Yeah, stabilize it, right. They kind of upset a few lactic acid creatures and some other ones. They go, we don't really like this. We're not going to hang around here. We're leaving. That's fine with us.
Sure.
So that's why you use hops. So use some other things, and they're antimicrobial, and your beer lasts a bit longer. I mean, anybody here, probably a lot of homebrewers, we've had beer that really we shouldn't drink because it's, pretty much flat out nasty.
Yeah.
So, you're given that chance of drinking something that's absolutely nasty and ought to be flushed or was already flushed, and then you have a choice of drinking something with, maybe some hops or some other weird herbs, and damn, I could drink another one of these.
Okay.
That's a hell of a trade-off, and that's really going to skew history and progress to the ones that help you make a tasty beer that you're going to want to actually drink a second, third, fourth, 12th glass of.
Yeah.
Or if you're the guy making it and your beer's going to last more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't drink beer that's, out in the market more than 2 weeks. But
these guys are out making beer in the medieval times, and after about a week, it's getting kind of nasty.
Yeah.
But if you throw some hops in there, now he's got 2.
Well, you certainly look at, you might be able to sell actually all those kegs, casks. Excuse me, they weren't kegs back then, casks or barrels. Whereas if it starts to get a little funky and you can't sell it because it's a little too funky, I mean, you can only drink so much of that yourself.
You start blending.
Yeah, you start blending, or you say, God, you know what? If I use these weird-ass herbs, it actually tastes tastes okay. Yeah. But, 3 weeks later, I can still sell it.
Still sell it.
I don't know how many people here in this room or in the audience actually have money, have any relevance to their lives. Probably not very many people. But, if you're a brewery and you're trying to provide food for yourself and your family, trying to sell beer that lasts for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I guess I could see something there.
Yeah.
So, in your case, when you're experimenting with these beers, or maybe you're just brewing these beers and going for it, I don't know your exact process, right? But so with hops, I can get out my recipe calculator and I can estimate the IBUs and how much bitterness I want compared to the malts. It's pretty well documented. With the different herbs that you're using in these, you know that you're adding some sort of contrast to the sweetness, but how are you measuring it? How are you deciding how much of a different herb to use?
Well, see, the problem is back in the, let's say, 1492 is when half the beer was hopped and half was not, although it's an arbitrary number. Their operating systems, I mean, they didn't even have Windows back then. You couldn't use some of those programs.
Right.
I mean, you laugh, but really, Windows wasn't developed back
Windows
then.
1408.
Yeah, that was really rudimentary, and it was not supportive to some of the programs today.
Yeah.
So you had to actually taste the ingredients. It's kind of an archaic concept. It's old at that time. But if you pay attention to your ingredients, The Joy of Cooking is an amazing book. I met one person that couldn't handle the recipes from The Joy of Cooking, and she was Japanese. And perhaps it's just different sensitivities. I don't really know. But generally, Joy of Cooking, you read it, and it makes sense, and you can make the recipes in there. I don't know enough about some of the small brewing or home brewing books, but if you get a sense that's you understand what the author's writing, then it all comes together. So Joy of Cooking, part of it is there's a whole chapter, Know Your Ingredients. And really, that is the beginning of everything. If you don't know all the different varieties of hops, if you don't know what Munich Malt 20 does, different from Munich Malt 20, different from Munich Malt 10, or Biscuit, oh my God, then why bother putting these things in? Just because some computer spits out that you should add these things? Well, that's, to me, sad.
Shit.
Because if you taste these malts, and malts are really great, you can just chew on them.
Yeah.
Some of these herbs, you can chew on them, and oh my God, you're shot for a week. Your taste buds are never going to taste anything else. But make tea out of these herbs, or seriously, like the first beer we had, the Working for Tips, has the tips of the redwood branches. In springtime, I chew on them. I don't know how many people chew on trees. I assume it's really normal, but people have said some strange things about me. So I chew on the redwood trees at the brewery. And when they taste right, then I use them to make beer. Well, there's other herbs, that same sort of thing. The cedar that I use in the Uncle Fudd, same thing. I drive by these trees all the time, and I keep tasting them. When they taste right, then I have in my mind what I think they would taste good in the way of a beer. It's like you have this flavor in your mind, and you think, if this flavor would be in a beer, how would it taste? How would it taste best? What would that beer be like? So you're tasting this flavor, you're chewing on a branch and imagining beer and imagining this branch, and you're going...
And the neighbors are staring at you.
Oh, I try not to let people look at me. It's like
Brian loses his mind. He's chewing on the tree
real
again.
Good. No,
wear some pants when you're doing that.
The tree chewer's back, Mom.
The tree chewer's back. He's got no pants on.
Get in the house, Billy.
The damn video cameras.
Yeah.
America's funniest home video.
I can see. So I see where you can taste this, and the same with the malts, and I like the thought of envisioning it in a beer, but there's still a quantity issue.
Well,
I guess what I'm wondering is if you have to do small pilot, but a ton of brewing with it, because so even with the grains, right now I can go chew them and go, well, I love this flavor, I want this in my beer, but I still, because it's so well documented, can now calculate the sugar content I'm going to get so that I can get the right alcohol level, etc. You see what I'm saying? So here,
that's really amazing that we have these programs today. Chromash, I think, and some other ones, because they're really ideally suited. It's amazing what we can do with computers to analyze all these ingredients, put them together, so if a computer was tasting a beer, it would make a beer the computer would want to drink.
That's true, and I like my computer, and I trust its taste.
It's got good taste.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You were talking about a beer that you want to drink.
Yeah.
Then why would a computer have something relevant to that?
Well, I think that's the premise of Terminator 4. Because Arnold makes a beer he wants to drink.
But I guess what I'm saying is, I still want to I want to be as educated as possible, especially if I'm a craft brewer and I can't, waste a lot of batches of beer. I probably can't afford to do it. I guess you have to have some standards. Or I'm asking you, are you throwing these, these redwood tips in? You're thinking, well, a handful in my mouth is really goddamn strong. I'm going to try a handful in the beer, and are you just going for it that way?
All right, I'll tell you what. I gauge a lot of these. Let me back up. Kind of interesting thing I heard years ago, that we all count, even if we've learned other languages and we're living in another foreign country foreign to where we grew up, we always count in our original language. Now, it's kind of a strange concept. We live in the States, but we grew up in Europe or some other place. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. I can't repeat the language that I grew up with. But that sort of context, you have to think about where we are trained in these things. So a lot of what I do is I'll take a beer and compare it, honestly, or not a beer, ingredients, and compare it to hops.
Okay.
Because I'm more fluent in hops, and I can say, well, so many pounds of hops in 20 barrels gives me this. And frankly, I do a lot of my formulations in 7 barrels because I do a lot of my earlier brewing recipe formulations when I was a 7-barrel brewery, which is now Downtown Joe's. Back then it was Willett's. And so I compare, if I chew on this, it has kind of the comparable bitterness or astringency as so much hops or so forth. The aromatics are pretty mild compared to hops. So I kind of do some multipliers and that sort of thing to get some relation to how I use hops.
Okay.
So if the aromatics are way strong, like the one of the later beers, the Oswego tea, that was so intense, I certainly use a lot fewer pounds for aromatics than it would have hops because they're so much more intense. Whereas the mugwort that I use for bittering, chew on that, you make a tea out of that, and you go, come on, a little more. Whereas you have the same number of pounds of even a Cascade or a UK Golding, they're just not going to have the bittering component anywhere near as small as you get from the mugwort.
Okay.
So I knew I had to multiply it by a few times to get the character I want to bite off and to contrast the sweetness from the malt.
Okay.
So really, I do some strange visualizations. I visualize flavors, and I don't know how many other people do that, as if visualization is the right word for what I do with flavors. If I have a flavor in my head...
What does it look like when you visualize a flavor? Does it look like JP, for example, if it's a particularly abusive flavor?
I have to do it in the dark, so I really don't know what it looks like.
Something from the early electric company.
I am best viewed in the dark.
So it might very well look like JP.
Well, at this point, I can understand that.
Yeah. There's some people who, they see in shapes. Or a number will be a color and a shape at the same time. So maybe it's something like that.
Yeah. Synesthesia. I can't pronounce that word.
You were doing good.
Synesthesia. Something like that.
That's anesthesia.
After fewer beers, it would probably come out clearer. But you Google if you can imagine what that spelled like, and you'll find it'll say, "Did you really mean?"
Right.
Have you been drinking? It says. That's what happens when I go to Google and I misspell something. It says, "Have you been drinking?" And other people, apparently, it says, "Did you mean?"
It's weird.
Do you mean? Hell no, that's not what I meant.
I visualize in tits. When I see a flavor, it's all a size, a shape, a skin tone,
quantity,
areola.
It's like a puffiness.
A cumin would be like a ski jump titty with a small nipple.
Because these are what I know, and I need to. Brian knows hops. I know boobs. And so this is my. But this is what I was getting. I wanted to know how you do relate some kind of frame of reference when using these new ingredients, because. Otherwise, like I said, you might be wasting a lot of beer, throwing away,
And like I said, I really do use just like my original language. I generally start to formulate from a 7-barrel batch. I make 21s generally. But I formulate in my mind, visualize how many pounds, make certain character of certain ingredients. I generally start with a 7-barrel batch because it's what I mostly learned on. I suspect most people listening didn't start.
Yeah.
I didn't do a lot of recipe formulations at 7-barrel batch. I did a lot of recipe formulations on other batches, but some of the more recent things that I want to compare to on 7s.
So you basically look at, this is bitter like twice as much Northern Brewer.
Exactly, yes.
And then you can pull it in.
And let me ask you, when you smell different varieties of hops, how else would you compare? I mean, I don't know, because this is only me, and I'm frankly pretty much on the fringe, apparently. How do you judge when you have a different variety of hop and you smell this compared to something else you've been using? You go, oh, I've never seen this hop before, and you smell... Hopefully that worked on the...
Oh, that was smelling hops. Oh, I thought that was... Never mind.
Okay. Well, there's no video cam.
Well, that's good. Anyway, when you smell hops and when you make it, I make a lot of teas from hops because you get different characters from them than if you were to merely to smell them.
So do you judge more on when you're tasting them raw or when you make a tea? I think making a tea would
you do both.
Would pull more out of it.
All of it. And even if you make tea, you have to watch out for hops. It's very difficult to understand ahead of time. The different temperatures give you different characteristics. Right. I found 120 to 160 Fahrenheit when you make a tea is much more appropriate. If you make a tea higher than 160, you get a lot of astringency stuff. Well, now, if you're throwing those hops into something where they're steeping a long time, you're going to pick up a lot of that astringency, the tannins. But if you're throwing them near the end, you're going to pick up a lot less of that because I pretty much overdose. I use quart canning jars for making tea. It's pretty effective. They have big mouths because hops swell up and they're kind of a pain in the ass otherwise to get out of something small. So you try them at different temperatures and you find that you get much different things. And aromatically, you're just smelling the hops themselves. They're very different than the results you get from making tea. So you have to balance all that. What you're going to get using different procedures at different temperatures and so forth. I came across a few varieties that I preferred making teas that I wouldn't have otherwise picked up. I tend to use those more in dry hopping. Frankly, Nugget's one of those. Pearlies is one of those. Golding's a brewer's gold. Have some pretty amazing characters as well. Some of the ones I thought would be delightful, actually, really?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have known unless you tried them in different situations. And instead of merely putting them in beer and aging that way, you put them in tea and you try them at different temperatures. You try as much information as you can get is as valuable as the information is going to play out when you finally make that beer, because some of us have to drink our results.
Does anybody else picture Brian alone on that piece of property where the brewery is, with like boiling cauldrons all around him?
Just walking around with a mason jar with something in it.
Yeah, I just have this image of like 30 different cauldrons of the fog is rolling over.
There's only one cauldron. There's only one vessel I have with a fire under it. But sometimes my intern Jeff will come in the morning and he doesn't quite complain per se, but he kind of. Maybe he complains there's no clean glassware, but he does have to clean up a number of glasses. Somebody once asked me on some interview sort of thing what my favorite beer ingredient was, and I said, a tasting glass. And but to be honest, you know what? Like I was talking before about the computer. If your computer is like the one that's analyzing your beer and going to drink it, then it is the absolute best. Computers, technology like that is exactly what we need. However, if you, in fact, me, or anybody else in this room, is the one that's going to be tasting the final beer, what is the best device that you should use to analyze the characteristics of that beer to find out if it's something that you personally are going to want to enjoy? And I'm guessing it's not, high pressure chromatography or weird ass expensive things that are in a lot of expensive breweries.
No, it's laying underneath the tap for me. I stay right there.
Well, see, I try to stand up.
Inverted
horizontal.
I think we
have a similar sort of concept. Yeah. And that's why if you don't, I mean, are you tasting your wort? You're tasting the mash.
Yeah.
You're tasting the first words that come out of the loud, or you're the last words tasting. And if you're going to add the last words, well, you better know what they taste like. Are they tasting tannic and nasty? Oh, God, I don't want that crap in my beer.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather dump that in add water later, or dilute it and add sugar if I have to have the flavors taste right. Because, frankly, I like to taste beer. And I assume the people that want to lay off $5 on the bar to buy a pint of my beer, I assume they really like the taste of beer too, instead of the analytical results that don't tell me what I want to know.
Yeah. But my iPhone doesn't have an app for all those tasting all those different parts of the process, so I don't know if I could do this.
Now, Justin, take your iPhone. It's very important.
Yeah.
You do have the app for that.
I do.
Next time you're in the bathroom, take your app, take your iPhone, drop it in the toilet.
Right.
Then you go back, and flushing or not, I don't think it matters.
Okay.
You taste the beer.
Okay.
And you know what? What really matters, does your
Save the
iPhone
99
matter
cents.
or does your palate matter? If you're drinking a beer and you really enjoy that beer, do you think your iPhone would have a fucking clue?
I don't know. Let me ask Steve Jobs. I'll
Wait
get
a minute.
back
Can
to
I
you.
ask it
I'll
one more
send an email.
time? Because I don't think I enunciated that clearly.
Yeah.
If you really like a beer,
it's probably not mine.
It doesn't matter. Do you think your iPhone has a fucking clue?
I know
what tastes good. Do you think all the?
I think the next version will.
Yeah, the new BlackBerry Palm Pre does though.
Let's give it some time.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to go, this Miller Genuine Draft. God, this is damn good.
Yeah.
All right, so you going to believe that app?
Yeah. No, of course not. And I love this philosophy of it's not even this, and I do it actually when I brew, very rarely. The tasting of every part of the process. Absolutely, my first runnings, my last runnings, and I can taste the tannins. I have turned it off because of that before, and you're absolutely right. This whole part of the process, where your palate is your best.
Some people think I'm just getting drunk, and I don't know what that means, but I think it's about important aspects of assessing the beer at every step of the process.
Yeah.
When you're looking for new ingredients, what do you decide is safe to put in there? How do you get a basis for that? I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there to taste. There's parts of this, parts of that, and there's things out there we shouldn't be putting in beer.
Yeah,
poison-wise.
I tried strychnine.
Yeah,
it was
my gut up a little
harsh.
bit.
Yeah, no, I didn't like the flavor of it. I try to use things that are normal in nature in the sense that they've been used for things like the Oswego tea, the herb in the Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Oswego Indians used that to make a tea. It had particular effects. It's used some culinary aspects and a lot of herbal remedy sort of thing. It's normal. The mugwort involved in that, it's been used for about 1,000 years or so.
There's a lot of ones that I've heard of too. It's just that, somebody's got stuff growing outside and they're
it's a good question though.
And they want to know, hey, can I put that in? And you taste it and.
Well, you know what? There's an internet for some of that stuff. Somebody interviewed me at the homebrew. I don't know exact conference name of it in Oakland a few months back, and there was a little mention about the beer I had, the Uncle Fudd, that it had cedar, Western cedar.
Okay.
So, oh my God, this might be poisonous. Yeah, if you look it up online, you'll find it does have a level 3 irritation to it, which actually, if you look up hops, is exactly a level 3 irritation, which means if you rub your arm against it, ideally the forearm where it's a little more sensitive.
Some people are going to be more sensitive to it than other people.
I was wondering where that rash that came from during the conference.
So,
I had that.
There's things out there.
We're talking under the arm. But yeah, there's some things, basically, if they're used in food or in remedies. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have actually at the brewery some really gorgeous mushrooms, the beautiful red Amanita death caps.
Oh yeah.
I have not found it yet.
Red with like little
that.
white dots on them.
God, they're gorgeous.
Aren't they?
They are really beautiful mushrooms.
Wow.
But I've decided I really didn't think they belonged in beer based mostly on their taste.
Who are you to make that decision, Brian?
Come on. We want our death caps.
That's right.
Omelets. They're just so much far better than omelets.
Just a little. Just give you an edge.
Small omelet.
No, I'll have that for breakfast and the omelet and then make beer after that.
Yeah.
All right, let me get us to a quick break, and when we come back, I want to ask about. I think that's a good starting point, and especially finding a.
Yeah, we need a death cap.
Well, finding a point of reference. I think it's a fantastic answer that you were looking at things that have been used before, and that it's not some. You're not finding some rare pine cone that's never ever been used in the history of eating things.
How that would taste in my beer.
But I want to talk to you about local ingredients, and really, you do have a passion for your region, I think, Brian, and making that a part of your company and your beer and what you produce. So when we come back, I'd like to ask you more about that and maybe how us homebrewers can do the same all across the country. So hang in there. It's The Session. We'll be right back with Brian Hunt from Moonlight. Hang in there.
All right, good stuff there, huh? It was a good time. Brian is great. If you want that whole show, and of course you should, because there's, we used to, as the folks in Australia used to say, we used to waffle a lot back then. So if you like a lot of entertainment, check it out. Hit the archives or search Moonlight Beer and Ale, which is the name of the show title in the search box there. Check it out. We're going to take another quick break, and we're going to be right back with some more clips. Hang on. It's the best of The Session. Hang tight.
You're listening to the Brewcasters.
The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's The Session Best of Quarantine Edition, and we're here in my house. I'm live with Sully and Teresa from the 21st Amendment and Crooked Lane, respectively. You guys still awake over there? You're not coughing? You don't have a fever?
No, but
should I wash my hands?
No, you should. But you should pick your nose.
Was that weird?
No,
Was that weird that I announced that I picked my nose?
I
Everyone
loved it.
picks their nose. Come on, Teresa,
We
you
should
pick your
do
nose.
a communal nose pick since we're,
Yeah,
bearing all roles and all that stuff.
that's right. I feel like I feel like that's appropriate.
Okay.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm doing mine right now.
Oh, I'm not
Okay,
doing mine. That's
go.
gross. That's disgusting.
I'll wash my hand.
You'll never know if I actually did it.
Yeah. Here's our last clip, everybody. It's from November 13th, 2011, which was 19. Jesus Christ, I'm stupid. 9 years ago. 9 years ago. Sully, can you imagine?
I can't even remember 9 years ago. But I'm glad you have it on tape for me to listen to.
I really do. It's called the No Beer Show, and we were supposed to have the folks from Boulder Beer on, and they sent a ton of beer. Their West Coast rep just delivered a bunch of beer to Justin on his doorstep, and this clip has a nice little recant of how that went down. But they had to cancel at the last minute, so instead of waiting for the next show to drink it, we finished all that night. So all the Boulder beer that was delivered to the studio back then, we just finished because they told us they would just send us more beer. And you know us, we're going to drink all that beer. We're going to take them up on that. So this clip picks up right after Bev came in to the studio for the first time since having Abby. I was telling you about this a little bit earlier in the show. And you can imagine, of course, how inappropriate we were to her back then. We also chat with Jamil a little bit on his first bottling run at Heretic and a bunch of other stuff. It was a lot of fun. We talked about nicknames. It was very kind of free form and bantery, and I really liked this clip. I had a good time sort of connecting with it. So here we are back in 2011, the No Beer Show.
We'll take a break with you. We'll come have a beer with you. Thanks for coming to say hi to the folks.
Sure.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Do you have a backup Twitter game question, Jippo?
Nope.
Oh, come on. Something in your list there.
I didn't.
Make it up right now. You have a few minutes
will.
to make it up. All right, thanks to our sponsor, More Beer. You can go to morebeer.com. They bring you this Sunday session and every Sunday session. Go to morebeer.com and check them out. Wonderful folks over there who I love very much. more beer. Our guest tonight will be Jeff Brown. He's the president of Boulder Beer Company, and they rocked us some beer for this show, guys.
Nice.
Yeah, they sent us down to. They had their local rep, who, by the way, is a huge BN Army fan.
Oh, hell yeah!
Cool. The local rep for Boulder Beer Company shows up at my house to drop off the beer, 2 12-pack variety packs, and another bottle of a porter, and another bottle of a one-off beer that you can't get anywhere. And he's rocking the BN Army hoodie when he gets here. He's got a BN Army sticker on the back of his car, and he's like, dude, I've been wanting to meet you guys for a long time. I'm a huge fan. The Boulder Beer rep. Nice guy. Andy is his name, right?
Andy, nice.
I gave him a hoodie and a script and told him to say that stuff.
Say all that stuff. It makes Justin feel good.
It was actually a stripogram.
It keeps me working. If Moscow knows that, if he has people come over and stroke my ego, I'll actually keep working.
Here's a couple of stickers. Put one on. You can take it off later, but you can put it on your vehicle for a little while.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, this one's removable. Yeah. It's a fake sticker.
Or just take my car.
Yeah, the guy was a good actor. Actually, he gave me a Four Loko polo.
No, did he really?
Well, he was about to leave, and he's like, "Oh, wait right there. Just wait right there
in your house."
And he goes to his car, and he's like, "It might be too late for this. You know, I'm a little behind in the archives, but I got you this." And it's a Four Loko polo shirt.
Wow.
And I was like, "Dude, I'll wear that on the golf
course
course
he rep
right now."
For Four Loko?
No, but when you work for when you're a rep and you have to go work with distributors,
right?
Like, you get all that shit.
All
you have to go to distributor, meetings and shit. So he probably just got the swag. You know, conventions. You have to go to these things where you look at everybody's products. Yeah. And, you know, the Four Loko booth is always the best. In fact, Nicole sent me a wonderful picture of her and the Four Loko broads at a drinking convention in Las Vegas. And so you know that they're a lot better than, like, the craft beer booth.
Oh, sure.
You always go to the fucking alcohol booths. Not the liquor booths, I should say. Yeah. And it was a nice picture you sent, Nicole.
That'll be my promo pic next time I'm the guest.
Yeah, true that. We're gonna have to do that.
Oh, there's a Four Loko reference on Workaholics this week.
TV show?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, because this is a 2009 before they changed it.
A vintage Four Loko.
Right? Yeah, he was given it as a gift, and he was really into that. It's 2009,
right
before they changed.
Still the caffeine in there.
Tasty. What kind of beer did you bring?
I brought a American Blonde. You want some?
I would love some.
I'll pass that glass over.
I was drinking Heretic's Cousin, which is, by the way,
strong. Though.
It's being bottled tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to take some pics.
That and the Twin.
Oh, you are? Cool.
Yeah.
Bottled for distribution?
Evil Twin and, Evil Twin and the Cousin is going to be bottled tomorrow in 22s, I think, right, guys?
Yeah, 22s. Yep.
And then he said it might take a while to get to your area, but Jay-Z's working on it, man. He's going to be in there busting ass trying to get some bottling done.
I heard. I think it's SoCal first is where they'll be sent. I'm not sure where it'll be after that, but I think that's the first destination.
I got to ask him about that. I know there's a rhyme to his reason.
If you follow them on Twitter, he mentions a mail order place you can get it from in most states.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So people anywhere can get it.
Got to get Jay-Z on here as a guest, I think.
Let's call him
and ask about what the hell's going on with
He'll give you the
Heretic.
website. You'll be able to get it online.
You want to give Nicole Jay-Z's number for me, Jip? And we'll see if we can get him on while I'm doing the announcements here.
Sure.
Have Nicole ring him up and see if we can find out about this bottling situation. All right, you can go to the BN store, as always. A couple new T-shirt designs in there. Working on a new store, by the way. I'm hoping that's going to be up here pretty soon. Doing a bunch of data entry and bullshit to try to get that thing done. But we'll put a bunch of new designs up in there. And then speaking of new things, the new iPhone Android app is now available. It's in the Android market.
Yeah.
You have to search BN Mobile. BN Mobile.
Okay.
Go check it out, Jib. See if you have an Android, right?
I do.
Go search it and see if that thing will download and work.
All right.
I haven't even tested the damn thing yet. I just got noticed that it's up.
I know people in the chat were
checking it?
Yeah, and it seems to work. So
okay.
Which is good news.
Yeah, so it's not in iTunes yet because Apple has a really slow approval process. So I know you're going to... What about the...
Steve Jobs has to approve it. It's going to take a while.
iPhone app? Yeah, it's on Steve Jobs' desk waiting for approval.
Or just send Sam down there to grease
the dead letter
palms
file?
a little bit. Give him $1 or something.
I got this gold coin.
All right, check it out.
It says Chuck E. Cheese on it.
You can make those things move.
Yeah. But the Android app is there. Go to the Android Market, I think it's called, and you search BN Mobile.
Marketplace.
BN Mobile.
We're a little more sophisticated than you iPhone users.
I see. Well, that's fine by me. I don't care.
Because you have to be.
in order to make it work.
Yeah. And then I'll let you know as soon as the iTunes one. And it's free. It's free, by the way.
That's right. Good.
Yeah, you don't gotta pay for it. That's what free means. I don't know if you knew that.
I don't, but
free.
I'd like to.
Free's good.
Whose blonde is this, Tasty?
It's a homebrew I made.
Did you say that
Tasty
last night?
It's good. It doesn't have great mouthfeel. It's 4.5%, so it's pretty cool.
It's really good.
Really nice session beer.
Yep.
It has It has a professional house. Did you just put him on hold?
Yeah, he can call back later.
Oh, he can't talk right now? Oh, he can talk right now. It's Jay-Z? Sorry.
Great.
There you go.
You have like a professional house flavor going on there, Tasty.
Well, it's just I'm using like 3 different base malts in this beer, so you're getting I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's unique.
Hey, Jay-Z, how you doing, man? Sorry to bug you, but I was announcing that you're bottling beer tomorrow, and then we had some questions come up.
Yeah, we're bottling tomorrow. Our first batch of Heretic beers will be in bottles. Bombers.
So you're doing Evil Cousin and Evil Twin in 22s?
Yes.
Beautiful. And then Tasty was thinking that the beer will first be available in SoCal. Is that the deal?
The bombers?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're sending some down to our distributor in Southern California, Central Coast, Mike Larrabee, and they will be distributing around Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, San Maria, that area.
Okay.
But the quickest way to get bottled Heretic beer will be Tuesday morning. You can come on down, and we'll sell direct to the public.
Right at the brewery.
Yep.
Beautiful. And then, is there some kind of like mail order place that you're going to be doing your beer through?
There's a couple. One is Brewphoria. They're out of Idaho, and we'll be sending beer out there. They have a distributor in Idaho that'll pick up the beer.
Okay.
And then they can ship to 35 different states. So they should be, sometime in November, I would think they'd be able to ship them. And then we're also working with beerjobber.com, and that's kind of a different thing. I'm not 100% sure on when that'll happen, but that also can ship to 35 different states.
Okay, wow. All right, well, that's a good deal then.
So you'll have those updates on the Heretic website as far as in your list of distributors that have your beer?
Yeah, we'll add it to the Find Some list on the link on the Heretic website, and we'll be sure to post it on Facebook as well when that becomes available.
So I haven't been to the brewery in a while. What is the bottling situation like? Are you going to be sitting there with a more beer counter pressure bottle filler for the next 48 hours, hand doing every bottle?
No, we're going to do it like Tasty does. We're going to stick a piece of tubing on the fermenter and just bottle right off of that.
Thanks for the love. Thanks for the love.
There's a mobile bottling service that a lot of breweries use. The guy's name is Ron Gregerson.
Okay.
And he's been bottling for breweries for like 15 years. He does like 45 different breweries. He does Drake's and a bunch of others. And he'll come down, and then he unloads his bottling line. We set it up right there next to our fermenters, and he bottles off of that.
Beautiful. So you just supply the beer in the glass, and he goes to town.
Yeah, and actually we don't even supply the glass. He takes care of everything.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. You just get in contact with him. You send his guys some art for your bottles. And, just before you bottle, labels show up, glass shows up, and he brings the caps and the equipment, and you just supply the beer and CO2, and he runs the whole thing, and you have people help, just putting cases on pallets and stuff like that.
So how many cases do you think you guys are going to be able to bottle tomorrow?
We're going to do 480, 240 of the cousin and 240 of the twin.
Wow, nice.
Oh, yeah.
You know what, though? Like, that sounds like a lot to us because we're homebrewers and because we know Jameel. But in the beer world, that's going to go quick, isn't it? That's a small amount of beer.
Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and try and schedule to bottle again in 4 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
So if we can, then we'll hopefully get on a schedule and maybe do every 4 weeks. And we can also up the amount. He'll do, as much as we want him to do.
All right. Well, I like it.
How's distribution out of state going to be? Do you have any plans for that?
Well, right now it's just going to be going through Brewforia and perhaps Beer Jobber. And then we have a number of other distributors that we've been talking with, and I just need to make sure that before we sign on that we have enough production capacity to just keep a steady amount of beer going to these places. I don't want to send some out and then run out. And, so we just need to take it a step at a time and make sure that we're expanding our capacity to meet the needs.
But you're selling every drop of beer you're making right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Good job.
We drink some ourselves.
And I think I'm doing a little dent every month, too.
And we're helping as much as we can.
Right.
Well, I can tell. I'm out there drinking the beer alongside the drinking public, and you don't have enough beer. I'm telling you that right now. You need to make a lot more.
Yeah, well, we'll do the best we can.
Yeah.
It's a challenge just keeping the flow of beer being produced and the beer being sold to keep those pretty consistent with each other. It's tough. Sometimes you can end up with too much beer sitting on hand and then not enough distribution, or too much distribution, not enough beer. I just got to be careful of that.
Sounds like a big mess to me. I just want to drink it.
Yeah, it's like work.
It sounds really like a lot like work. I'll tell you, man, that Evil Twin, through repetition and practice, has really become one of my favorite beers on earth right now.
It's a great beer style, and a great,
such a good style.
Great beer too.
It has like I don't know, Nicole. You did that whole show about how to describe beers, and I'm speechless right now with that beer. It has a lot of depth and complexity, and it's just damn good.
It's malty and hoppy. I'm telling you, that's what people like, malty and hoppy together.
Yeah, it does have both, and that's maybe that's why I'm such a fan of it right now.
Same with the Janus Brown. That's why people like it. It's not a magic recipe. I don't think even the Twin is either.
It's been a bowl.
It's just a well-made malty and hoppy beer.
Yeah,
it's an overall high intensity, but then at the same time, there's a kind of neutral yeast character.
Right.
So
it doesn't have any of that like zippy, lemony zest.
No, it doesn't.
That you find in other beers, right, Nicole?
It really disappoints me that way.
Right.
Jay, are you saying you like it now more than you did before?
I think so. Well, I've liked it, I think, all along.
You had to study it pint after pint
But since I've been studying it for so long now, I've really developed an intimate appreciation for it, is what's happened. I bathed in it the other day.
Seems like a waste.
Pretty good.
Are you done with your evaluation?
I'm not quite finished with my evaluation.
One more time.
Jay-Z, I might need to evaluate a couple more kegs of the Evil Twin.
Our case is the bottles, as appropriate.
Right. Well, the bottles, I have a feeling, are going to be like those are a real commodity. Like that's I don't want to take his bottles.
Well, no, you want to have the commodity. Yes, you want to take his bottles.
Oh, I do. It's a good. I should probably test your bottling quality, Jamil.
Yeah.
Okay. So you might need to set aside at least a case so that I could
of each
sell them on eBay.
Well, I know Jamil, and he doesn't want to put out anything that hasn't been tested.
Quality control.
Quality. Yeah. So
he did that once.
Is that what we're calling it now? Quality control.
Yeah. I'd like to call it that because I'm starting to feel like an alcoholic.
QC.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to start calling it QC.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's control.
I'm happy for you, Jay-Z. It's good stuff.
Oh, thank you.
This is a big event tomorrow.
Yeah. All right.
We're excited.
Well, I guess Jip's coming over to take photos and stuff for the website.
Yeah, great.
Don't let him breathe near the bottles. He might
keep him away.
Yeah, everybody with masks and gloves on.
Yeah. It's just like when he used to bottle at home.
Exactly.
He's got the clean room that everyone has to stop in, and a steam jacket goes over.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Put on the hazmat suit. Get the booties on.
I did notice that he didn't invite me. He hasn't invited me near his beer since I got the MRSA.
He doesn't know when you're taking a shower.
Because you have too much body hair.
Right. Yeah. All right.
We'll see you on Tuesday. That's when I'll be out.
All right.
Yeah, after bottling, that's when Tasty shows up.
When the work's done.
Yeah, he's afraid he's going to get put to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we just wanted an update, Jay-Z. It's good news that you're bottling,
Cool.
so thanks, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, brother, we'll see you.
All right, take care.
There you go. Heretic Brewing, everybody. The great Jamil Zainashev.
Zany.
Jamil.
Is how I call him now.
Jamil.
Remember we almost did a whole show on how to pronounce his name?
Yeah, why do some people say, like, I'm from Oakland, I say Jamil. But then, like, other people like Jamil.
He has clarified it's Jamil.
Mm-hmm.
That is so weird.
But I refuse to do it, and he's okay with that. Jamil doesn't care. Yeah, as long as you're not trying to insult him, call him what you're comfortable with. So I've told him flat out, I now know that your name is Jamil, but to me you're Jamil, and I just can't change that. There's nothing I can do about it.
As long as you're not doing it so bad that you're adding like an extra syllable, like Jamil.
Which I tend to do sometimes, too. But again, he knows I'm not doing it to be a dick. I'm doing it more because I'm retarded.
It's like sliding up to the note. You use both vowels.
Yeah. I have enough difficulty with pronunciation as it is, so don't change it up now or I'll get all screwed up.
Right.
You know.
Don't call him Jamarcus.
He doesn't like Jamarcus. Or Jason. Actually, Jason likes Jason.
Yeah.
Who's Jason?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever called you Jason in my life.
No, it's a good separation for me between my real life and the fucking bullshit of homebrewing. It's either JP or Jason.
Yeah, Jason creeps me out. I don't like it at all.
I like it a lot more.
You like Jason more?
I never liked JP, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Olin started calling me that years ago, and I was like, I don't really like this.
Oh, I like it much better.
So that's the story for me.
Bullshit homebrew personality.
Jason just honestly, and I'm really being serious.
Sure.
It sounds like I'm talking about somebody else when I say it. I cannot associate that name with you. It doesn't sound like you to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not creepy enough.
Well, you can call me Mike.
That kind of.
And I feel more comfortable calling him McDole than I do Tasty because that's how I knew him. I've known
originally.
I've known him for like over 10 years.
And I can still do McDole.
I don't like doing Tasty.
That can fit.
That'd be even easier.
But Mike, oh hell no! That again, it's like I'm talking to an alien.
Who is that guy?
It feels very just like I would never.
Have you ever called me Scott?
I've never called Doc Scott in his life. If I've ever done it, I was high as fuck and couldn't remember his name.
No, he's never ever called me Scott.
Because it's just weird. That's weird. Also,
not his name.
Not even in the dentist chair, Dr. Latham. You gave me too much of that stuff.
No, then he's Doc. I've even been in a room with another doc, and he's still Doc. I can't even though they'll both turn their heads, I can't.
He'll change the other guy's name
before. That's true. That's what I've done. You're now George. All right,
done.
What do you mean? I've been Doc my whole life. Nope, he's Doc. There's only one Doc.
Let's call the other guy MD or something.
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah.
Ugh, gives me the chills.
It is.
Should.
Yeah, it just
gives most people the chills.
Makes me feel like I need another stitch in my vagina.
You do.
You don't?
I might.
Yeah, you're not a proper lady then.
I will.
We should have a talk.
Do it.
All right, you can find out all these updates we've been talking about over on Twitter and.
I have downloaded the app. It does work.
Oh, and it works?
Yeah.
How does it sound? Sound good?
It sounded great. It was in the middle of Jamal's interview. It was playing Jamal on the phone. So there's really not a whole lot of lag, it seems like.
Good.
Bagger.
So there you go.
I like that.
I love it.
Yeah, I got it. I got it free. That's great.
I would love to.
Did
you ever... you didn't have an iPhone anyway, Tasty, so you never had to buy... Yeah, so if you bought the other one and you're feeling gypped... Shut up and just download the free one and just
average it out. It'll be half the price.
I bought the other one.
Yeah,
for the price. No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. And you still owe me for that.
You finally.
Yeah, wow. It feels not that long ago, right? I mean, that's 2011. Like I said, it's 9 years ago, but it just doesn't really resonate as that long ago. That show was definitely one of our crazier ones. And if you want to reminisce about the days of old, check out the No Beer Show over in the archives. And now it's time, of course, for everybody's favorite live read, talking about pubic hair over at manscaped.com. They've released the Lawnmower 3.0. We've talked about the Lawnmower 2.0 for a long time here over on the session, but the Lawnmower 3.0 is out. After 18 months of research and development, I'm drunk. The Manscaped engineering team...
Drunk of the week.
Drunk of the week, everybody. Man, going through those archives, I tell you, we had a few Drunk of the Week calls, and I wanted to put them in, but I think we stretched them out over time because you could just call up at that point, even in the middle of a segment. So there was never really... I didn't find one yet, but if we ever do some best-ofs after this, I'm definitely going to include some Drunk of the Weeks because Those people out there were nutty, man. We had some really, really good, dedicated listeners. Not that we don't anymore, but we just don't have the phone number anymore to prove it. But Drunk in the Week was a good time. But anyway, check it out. If you've used the Lawnmower 2.0, if you have it, it's an easy transition to the Lawnmower 3.0 because it's the same replacement blade with a new and improved skin-safe technology. It's the third-generation Manscaped trimmer. It features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents like bleeding from below the waist. You never want to do that. Millions of balls are going to be nick-free, Sully, I'm telling you right now. They've upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show your mower off loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a rapid charging dock powered by USB, whatever that means. I still don't know what USB means. I'm going to learn it one day. I don't really know. So go to manscaped.com. You're going to get 20% off plus free shipping with code BREWING at manscaped.com. Trim that junk of yours. Your balls will thank you. Manscaped.com, 20% off plus free shipping with code BREWING. Manscaped.com. I love it. And it works on your face, too. I've trimmed my beard with it several times.
In this case, it probably means universally shorn balls.
That's true. That's true. I mean, look, we're all home. What are we going to do? Right? If you've never manscaped before,
seriously, never has the time been better.
Never has the time been better.
To care for that particular package.
Absolutely. I just finished my whiskey while you were saying that, and I almost spat it out my nose, which I feel like that would have hurt a lot. That deer hammer's good, man. All right, everybody. I know I said that this last clip was going to be the last clip, but we have breaking news, a just now emailed to me interview from Justin. He's over at our friends Hop Revolution down in New Zealand, and of course he was covering their very first hop harvest. So he did a little interview with them, gave us a little update on what he's doing, and we're going to play it for you right now. We're going to come back and we're going to end the show. So hang tight. Here's a brief word from Justin and our pals at Hop Revolution.
Hello, Brewing Network. It's Justin, and I am recording for you from my friend's hop farm, Hop Revolution, in New Zealand. And I've been here for a couple weeks now. I just got to the farm almost a week ago for their very first hop harvest, which is exciting. And we're going to talk about that, of course. That's what we're here to do, give you a little update. But I also, because you've been asking, just wanted to give you an update of where I'm at. Thank you for your concern. Don't be concerned. The Kiwis are super nice, and I'm on this almost sheltered island. Things are a lot calmer here right now during the COVID crisis than they are back home. And I know that it's getting a little crazy out there, and my heart is with you. Thank you for asking about me. My flight was scheduled to go home next week, but it got canceled as of yesterday. So, I don't like to use the word stuck. I get to stay on the island for a little bit longer, and I'll keep you updated. I'll do a whole separate post about what's happening with me, but I just want to give you a quick update that I'm all right. Thanks for asking, and I hope that you guys are okay and taking care of each other also. And speaking of things being a little bit crazy, as I mentioned, the very first harvest, which the Brewing Network has in 15 years never gotten to cover a first harvest before. So many hop farms have just been around for so long. And you folks are new to this, but certainly not inexperienced from what I've seen. Or at least you're faking it till you make it.
We're glad you came at the end of harvest.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the first couple of days.
It's been full on for what, almost a month now?
Yeah, we started on the 24th of February, and now it's the 20th of March, so we'll either finish tonight or tomorrow morning.
Got it.
Yeah.
And have things been going well in terms of, we can get into the weeds a little bit later, but in terms of yield, and did things progress as you expected, Susan?
Yeah, like in all honesty, for a first harvest with pretty little experience at my level, it went really well. Okay. I mean, we couldn't be happier with what we produced.
Good. I've gotten to smell some of the hops. Obviously, we have some on the table here, but even coming onto the farm, just this wonderful, pungent smell, which is a good thing. I mean, sometimes it's so aromatic here that it can even it's a little offensive at first, and I realized at least to me, that's a sign of how floral some of these hops really are.
Oh, you're right. I mean, all our utes smell, all our clothes smell, and I think I'm almost desensitized to it at this point in time.
That's right.
It makes sense. Now, you've had a heck of a workforce here, and I've been watching the tractors, pull down the vines, bring them to the processing facility, which is just outside our door here, hanging them on to I don't even know what these things are called, Susan.
Just the hooks.
Just the hooks.
The hooks, okay. Yep. Hang them onto the hooks to pull in and basically to pull the hop flowers off. It's a really labor-intensive job. And what kind of workforce do you have here on the farm?
Well, we've got about 40 people working here on the farm at the moment. There's 15 permanents, and they range really from local people and people who have moved into the area to work with us. But we're supplemented by good 25, 30 odd internationals. So we've got young backpackers from Belgium and Germany and Ireland who have come through. They're passing through the Abel Tasman, which is a beautiful beach and walking area. So they're coming through in their camper vans, parking up, working with us.
Nice.
We've got local young girls, 16, 18-year-old girls and guys who have finished school and they've come to work with us. Some of them will employ permanently. We've got these great Vanuatuans from Vanuatu, we've got about 10 of them working with us, and they only speak French, so it's good. We've got some French backpackers who can actually communicate with them. But across that group, it's a really good, friendly group of people. And but next year we're gonna need almost double that number of people.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, and does it pay well?
Well, it does pay well actually. So we're paying them about $22 an hour, $23 for the more experienced ones, and over 3 or 4 weeks they can earn some really good money, and then just keep traveling. So. Yeah, if any of your listeners are listening and they want to come and work with us next year and have a holiday in New Zealand, get in touch.
Man, when I was a backpacker, $22 an hour, that was rich.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that you have that. The migrant workers in the U.S. are mostly immigrant farmers and stuff. I think it's kind of cool that you have a mix of that and young people backpacking through. That's fun.
Well, I mean, the good thing is even though it's super hard work, the crew have lots of laughs together, which I think is probably what saved a lot of our sanity, that you can still joke when, you're pulling 14-hour days.
Oh, gosh. And it is all such a rush. It's funny that I've known how this works, but never really experienced it. I've never been on a farm during harvest. And it made me think of the Discovery Channel show with the Deadliest Catch, right? Where these like Alaskan fishermen, the season is 3 weeks long or whatever it is, and they're just round the clock. And that's kind of what happens with you guys. You work all year for this month.
Yeah.
It's a very strange business.
Yeah, it is. And we just gear up. You hope the weather's going to be good. You hope the machinery is going to run.
Yeah.
You hope the team are going to be here, and you just get into it. You don't really know what to expect.
No.
We've had a couple of pretty serious rain nights, but generally the weather's been fantastic.
Okay.
We're right on that cusp here in Nelson where it's changing from sort of summer to autumn. So some of the days have been incredibly hot, and then other days it's quite cold. And we've got snow on the mountains just over the back here now, so the temperature's dropped a bit. We're both in sweatshirts, but maybe 2 weeks ago we would have, been in singlets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so that pushes the harvest forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, we've definitely, ramped up the speed coming into the later varieties, which is Nelson. It's just progressed faster with the colder weather.
And you have to be fluid with that. I experienced it with you. I was sort of slowly making my way here, and because at that time, even a week and a half ago, you thought that harvest would last a little longer.
Yeah.
And Susan called me the other day and was like, "Is there any way you can get here sooner? We have to pick this Nelson."
Yeah.
And why is it that you have to get it off the ground so fast?
Well, just Nelson's a variety that's pretty finicky, so it has that aroma where you want to leave it to hang for as long as you can, right to the point before it starts turning. So, we had to make a bit of a decision yesterday where we actually haven't harvested probably about an acre of Nelson because we think it's too far gone and we just don't want to pick it.
Right.
We don't think it's up to the standard we want for our brewers.
Sure. It's so interesting. I've heard brewers talk about this. Vinny talked about it. We're going to do a collaboration beer with you guys and me and Russian River. And he was talking about day 2, day 3 of where he likes hops. And what I mean is it's just specific by the day to some brewers. I always thought, well, come on, it's this month. it's to the day.
Yeah.
So they changed that rapidly here at the end.
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely what we've had to learn as we go through is how to harvest blocks at their peaks. And so, it's meant we've kind of pivoted, what we thought we'd do on Tuesday, we've had to push out till Friday, and then other stuff has been brought forward. So it's been a big learning experience for us.
Sure.
So what was really interesting is we started on the 24th, and we were lucky enough to have Sean Benson from Roy Farms join the team. And so he's run hugely big hop farms. And his view was, well, let's start a bit early and run the machine up, get the team, going. And it's all new people. We're all brand new to this. We had Mark Hansen down from TV Hops, who runs the same Wolf equipment as us. He came down to work with us. So I was like, let's start a little bit early and just get everything going. And that put us on the front foot. So we went into Motueka, which is an early harvest, and we had really good yields out of Motueka. So better than what we were expecting, but of course that took a little bit more time. And so the Motueka was really good. And as we were getting towards the end of the Motueka, we were looking at our rewalker, saying, well, look, we should be looking at the rewalker now. But on our farm, we've got rewalker, Motueka, Nelson, and another varietal called Pacific Sunrise. And Pacific Sunrise has never been commercially grown before, but it's supposed to be a late harvest hop. And we're the only ones who grow it. And we're looking at this Pacific Sunrise and saying, this looks ready to go.
Oh, no.
And so we were super lucky. We had Ron Beetson from New Zealand Plant and Food, who actually was the breeder for that variety. So we got him on the phone, and he's only 3/4 of an hour down the road. And we said, Ron, we think this is ready to go now. And we got him onto the farm. We're super lucky to have his expertise. And he said, yeah, I agree. Let's, get it in now.
Okay.
And so what we thought was a late variety became an early mid variety.
As if it's not difficult enough already. This has to happen.
So we got that in. Our rewalker, rewalker is the most challenging, difficult plant. Everyone told us.
Yeah.
We were like, well, we can make this work. We'll do it. And of course, it's been difficult and equally challenging for us as for everybody else. So our rewalker, we're super happy with the quality of it, but we just have only a little bit of it. So
that came out. So I remember talking about that in our first interview. In fact, I made fun of you, Susan, because I was like, really, it's all challenging enough, and you're going to try to grow the hardest hop at the same time?
Yes. Naive words were said back then. Look, the plants will settle in. We had an unusual growing season, and I think almost every grower is going to say they've had an unusual growing season from here on in.
Right.
So we had a super wet, cold spring, so the plants sulked, and then our summer was warm but very brief when we look at it. So I definitely think that rewalker is as finicky as all the other growers warned me, and it's going to take a bit of tweaking to get it right. But in saying that, some other growers who have had their plants in longer have sent me gorgeous photos of their massive piles of rewalker that they've harvested. So there should be more on the market.
So you won't pull the acreage; they have to mature, over the. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And we had silence here for a little while. You might hear the machine just revving up already. They had their break, and now they're just back at it, harvesting more. All that's left now is Nelson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the good thing, we've got quite extensive plantings in Nelson, so we're harvesting it over about a 2-week period, and it's from different locations around our 350-acre farm. So what that means for us is we're getting a good variation of soil type, as well as early, mid, late. So what we want to show you later on, Justin, is the different flavours that we're getting from across the property, which we think will be pretty exciting.
I'm excited about that too. Yeah. And then because you say, in fact, you mentioned a block that you won't even harvest because you felt you were just too late. Because of the differences, is there a blend that you can do to try to get a consistency across hops, or you just kind of let the lots speak for themselves?
Yeah, I think we'll almost do the two-pronged tack there, Justin. We'll definitely keep some separate because for us, we're learning, and the brewers are the guys who are going and girls who are going to tell us, what to aspire to for future years.
Sure.
But also, the idea of blending is something, I think we'd probably do to try and give a consistent product.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's definitely something we'll be looking to the experts we know in the industry to help us do.
I love that. So I think that the Brewing Network's going to be part of some of that. So we'll actually try to bring home content. One of the cool things, you got to look at the bright side, especially right now, is that I do get to stay in New Zealand for a little while. So we've been talking about different ways that we can collaborate with brewers between Hop Revolution and Your Hops and the Brewing Network. So I think what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks while I'm here is try to get some collaborations going.
Yeah.
Do some hop selection. I've got to select hops for Vinny and our collaboration, which I'm a little nervous about.
So am I, Justin. So am I.
Vinny felt like he was off the hook because Tom Shellhammer was supposed to be here to help us out. Tom is a hop chemist. In fact, he could probably be called the hop chemist out of, Oregon State or University of Oregon. I forget. Tom, I'm sorry that I don't know your exact title. But he was supposed to be here to help, but because of the virus, obviously people can't travel anymore. Yeah, no. So I think we're gonna bring in some other professional brewers on the island to help me select hops.
Yeah. We're going to hit up some of the New Zealand brewers who obviously have a pretty extensive experience brewing with these hops, and then the ultimate challenge is doing a New Zealand versus the US comparison. So my guys are quietly confident, although very intimidated at the same time.
And I'm just the mule. Like, I could just bring the beer from here to there. And you know what, guys? If I have to bring beer back, I'll do that too. Perfect. I will sacrifice myself. All right. So subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, because we're really going to be ramping up content, I think, more than we ever have there, as a way to bring entertainment home to people while you're kind of on lockdown, and just to share this experience over here, because you guys have got me all excited since I've been on the farm, and so I'm excited to keep working with you and make some beer out of this stuff. I know, Susan, that's like your thing now. You're like, I just want to taste some beer. With my hops in it.
It's the ultimate. I mean, I only grow them, and we enjoy drinking beer as much as we enjoy growing hops.
Sure.
So,
to get to, it must be. I'm going to be there with my camera when you get to kind of taste the first beer, because I'm just thinking of that. Like, it would be a little bit emotional for me after all this hard work. And I know you've been working at this for a long time, Susan. Like, it's a kind of a lifelong, passion project for you. So to taste that first beer with your hops, that's got to be exciting.
Yeah. I must admit, some of the girls and I, we were, it sounds slightly silly, but when the machines got switched on for the first time, there were actually a few tears, and happy tears. But beer is the ultimate reward.
So if I had an infinite budget, next year, I would plant myself on this hop farm about 3 months before and all the way through harvest, and do like a reality show about what really goes on. Because you've got all the workers, sort of working and living in close quarters. You got you guys and stressful moments, successes. I mean, it's got reality TV written all over it.
Well, I think what we should do, if you've got an unlimited budget, is bring down your RV to New Zealand, and we can turn it into an accommodation headquarters for our multinational. I think you can sleep 40 people in that RV.
Yeah, it's just
and
about...
And 20 in the VW behind it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'm game for that. I'm pretty much a dirty hippie, so come on. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't even need to say good luck anymore. I'd rather say congratulations on your first harvest. And I hope that I think you're going to be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like officially over.
Yep. So we just about weren't sending any bales up into the US because with COVID, all of the freight lines were disrupted, in particular when China went down.
Okay.
Now all of those shipping lines are back up and running into the US. So we're talking to Mill 95 this morning. So we've got 4 containers on the water. There'll be about another 10, 12 going up there.
Great.
So we should get everything up into Mill 95 in mid-May. We're still on track for palletising according to Mill 95. So we're hoping that'll all go ahead, and that we'll hopefully have pallets available end of May, beginning of June.
Good.
But it's a pretty uncertain time. But that's
it is, and with that, I'm glad to hear that you were able to get product out there. I know, Jason, you're good at what you do already. Just being around you, immediately, I started bringing in information to you guys about COVID. I think more than anyone, because it was really happening to me at home, and I could tell, beyond your concern for me, you immediately started to think about global commerce and how this is going to go, and I think that part of the world is going to keep moving. I think it has to. Yeah. And I'm glad to see that you're an example of that. You already got stuff headed to the U.S.
Yeah, and I think people are naturally optimistic too, and get through stuff. And we're going to do our best to support all of the brewer customers that we have, and look after people. And our team here are all good, and there's no one here that's sick. And there's it's one of those times. I think the positive side of it is everyone looks after each other.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And in the beer industry, I think that's especially true. So, it's interesting times, but I'm glad that hops are already on their way. That's a good thing. Yeah. Okay, if you want more information about Hop Revolution hops, you can go to hoprevolution.co.nz. Mm-hmm. See? Yeah. Have I been here long enough?
Long enough? Like one of us now.
I'm going to go home and they're going to go, what's Zed?
Yeah. What's that Kiwi accent coming through there?
I've learned a couple of things. Everything is something as, like cool as.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet as. Mm. One S, ladies and gentlemen at home. It's A-S, sweet as. So I'm learning a little bit of slang.
It's funny, you haven't mentioned yet, we're actually sitting in a wool shed.
Yeah,
so, well, the sheep jokes are totally true. We've converted a wool shed into Susan's lab. The table that we're sitting at is a fleece sorting table that we put some glass on that we've turned into a hop sorting table. But literally this is a wool shed.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not even the third farm I've been on since I've been to New Zealand. There's farms everywhere, and everyone's been very sweet here and very nice to me. So I'll bring you some separate updates, but we just wanted to let you know what was happening here at Harvest, which is just about over. So the next time you hear from Hop Revolution, it will be really soon because it'll be when we're starting to brew some beer.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. Justin.
All right, thanks everybody, and take care of yourselves back home. JP and Bevo, don't mess up my show while I'm gone.
I love it. All right, well, that's all the time we have today, folks. Thank you for joining me on this trip down memory lane. It was pretty fun pulling all these clips for everybody. I really did have a great time, considering I was in pretty much every one of them, and it was really annoying to hear my own voice, but hopefully you enjoyed it too. I think the reality is we'll have to do this a little bit more than we'd like to in the coming weeks. But, things move fast, so we'll keep you updated as often as we can. Stay safe, stay home, take care of each other, wash your hands as often as possible. Teresa, Sully, Teresa, you start. You want to say anything to everybody before we get out of here?
No, other than I miss you guys. It pains me to know this has to be remote for now, and I'm looking forward to when it isn't. So
absolutely.
Cheers to all the people, and hooray for all the leaders in the industry like Sully who are keeping the shit together.
There you go, Sully.
Thank you for the confidence. Just wash your hands. I'll take the leader tip. This has actually been fun. It's great. Have not been on the show with Teresa yet, like we said earlier. It's great to finally be here with you. I think everybody out there, be safe. Wash your hands, and just like what JP said, don't pick your nose.
Exactly. Don't pick your nose is the number one takedown our take home episode.
That's true.
Oh my God.
You're good.
Take home message.
Get out of here, Teresa. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you. JP does great as his chair.